I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so I'm going to start with a short presentation. I'll try to keep it under 10 minutes. It's a brief introduction to the board, to the new board members, and to the good people that have shown up today. So I'm going to proceed through that. If we could please bring up the PowerPoint.
Thanks.
Oh, also, I do need to do one thing real quick. I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda.
Sure.
Can I get a second, please?
I will second it.
All right, thank you. All right.
We're gonna have to go on the other side there. Look, I don't want chairs are reserved so we can take a look at this way. Jim, if you want to. You're okay? You good? Okay. Well, I guess we don't have to go figure out the whole thing.
All right, so we are on the agenda. We are in the opening to the agenda and the introduction that'll be kind of intertwined. I'd like to welcome the new board members, and I'd ask if all the board members, director, if all present at the board would introduce themselves briefly, and then we'll continue.
Mary Pat Brooks. My husband and I have lived at the lake for about 16 years. I'm proud mother of 2 and 5 grandchildren. And I'm really involved in just way too many things to tell you what I'm involved with at the lake. So just know I'm involved with everything. I've been an avid reader. I started reading, my mother said, at age 2 and had a library card then. So I was really excited. So, and I'm a strong advocate for children. Yeah, thank you.
I'm Becky Silvolo. I am a relatively new transplant from Illinois. Love Missouri. Absolutely love Missouri. And I am so glad and pleased to be part of this team, and look forward to seeing how we can help you all with issues or just keeping everything going.
Guess I'll go next. I'm Bill Munhouse, and I'm kind of one of the veterans on the board. I've been here 5 months. So, yes, we've lived here since 1993, and we're very active in the community, mostly in kind of Christian ministry. I currently operate a radio station called Key Radio, so I'm kind of eager to represent you on the board. I consider the Board of Trustees more of a representative of the people of Camden County rather than a representative of the library itself. So both things are going on.
I'm Jay Menard. I also am a somewhat recent transplant. We've only been here for about 3 years. I was very active in our community up in Minnesota and looking forward to being more active in Camden County, one of the best places in the world to live.
Minnesota, we're from Minnesota too.
Yeah.
Brainerd. Oh, St. Cloud. My wife is from St. Cloud.
Okay. Yeah, we last lived out by Monticello, Becker.
If I could step in here, I'm Jim Paisley. I'm the new director of the Camden County Library System. So, yeah, right, it's been fun. And some of the people have asked, the man on the little machine here, that would be Adam Gutman. He is currently, he's the vice president, if you will, but he's serving as president of the board until elections can be made, determine who's going to take those positions. So that's Adam there. That's he unfortunately couldn't be here today, but you know, This works good. If we decide we don't like him, we'll just slap that thing shut. Alright? Okay. Go
I
ahead.
encourage that. I encourage that. Please. All right. And yes, Vicky and Mark and Coley, you guys make this thing run. Please proceed with introductions.
My name is Vicki Granum, and I'm the Assistant Director for the library. I've been here a long time. I'm Holly. I do the marketing here at the library for all the branches. I've been here not quite as long as Vicki, but I've been here a while. And then Mark has stepped out of the room, so. Mark is our IT manager. So he sets all this up for everybody.
He's dragging us all kicking and screaming into the 21st century. Yeah.
Yes, I appreciate it. All of us being here and getting this done. On the PowerPoint, if you would select the link that takes us to slide 6, I believe it is. Let me know when you're there.
And you see it?
I have the PowerPoint up, so I can't see. So, because I need that in front of me to actually get through this right now expediently. Okay, so we should be at slide 6. It says individuals working together. Did everybody see that? Okay. So I put these 8 questions out to all the board members. It comes from the Harvard Journal of Business. I think although they're not exactly worded according to our organization, they do apply. We have deliverables and we have taxpayers that pay for those deliverables. So I'm going to run down through these questions really quick. I won't elaborate on all of them. I may provide a little clarity, try to provide a little clarity. If you designed the agenda, what would be on it? What is the executive not telling you that you feel you need to know? That is one I want to elaborate on. That's just asking us to be thinking and asking each other questions, and to be open to that. How is the external world changing in ways that are not reflected in your board conversations? We need to be timely. What don't you know about the company that you're most concerned about? What do you see always being discussed but never resolved? There's an agenda item that was called old business. It's now called unfinished business. And we will be very aggressive at getting those things done correctly, and not have anything fall off of our plate or go stale. What are you not discussing that you need to talk about? Are we addressing, and that ties back to what I was saying about that first question relating to the director and the executive staff. Are we addressing the stakeholders, not just the shareholders? If so, how and what's the order of priority? That's corporate talk, but we do have stakeholders. We have the employees. We have the director. And we also have the shareholders, which is the public, and they expect a return on their investment. And we need to proceed in order and priority without constraints. With constraints, we can have more freedom to get things done. Are we adequately discussing long-term issues, both internal and external? And so that is, we need to be forward-looking. If we could go back to slide 1, please. So we're going to, and then page down 1, we're going to continue with the opening to the agenda. I don't know that we'll do this every time, but I'm going to run through the agenda so we know what's out there for the day. So page down to page 2. We're going to go into public comments. In public comments, everybody who signs in, we need you to sign in. And when you come up, you need to state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes to talk. And again, it seems short, but that's a constraint that allows everybody to speak. We will be approving the minutes from the last board meeting. That's part of bylaws that has to be approved in that fashion. Further on down, you'll see where we are going to make public the unapproved minutes, and it'll be open for comment. And we'll make sure that they're accurate, and then they'll be approved for in the next meeting, just as we are here. But we're going to attempt, that is an agenda item that we'll talk about. Unfinished business, you can see the items here, and they're self-explanatory. Pretty much, Missouri Evergreen is a consortium that we work with, gives us access to books, open meetings records. We do have sunshine policy that we are working on, that will address email issues and how we keep everything available to the public. 1081 Osage Beach is an old radio building and property that the library purchased. I'd like us to go to slide 10.
Okay, we're there.
Click the link there. There's a quick map. That map just shows where it's at. It's over next to the Osage Beach Library. The reason why I have that map is because distance from where most administrative, all the administrative activities happen at the Camdenton Library, and the distance to that building is part of what's going. It's part of what's considered in how we're going to use the building, is distance from the administrative center. Down one slide, please. There's a Google pic in relation. You can see the white square building is the Osage Beach Library, and then where you see the marker there, the red marker, that's the radio building, and the lot next to it that's been purchased. There's the building. There's the floor plan that was provided by Dave. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. Dave, what I'd like to just briefly hand off to you if there's anything you'd like to say about this. Dave Pierce is the subject matter expert on this building. We have a tower also adjacent to the building. It was a radio building. The tower is still there, and that's something that will be considered. This is a very brief introduction to that property so that you have an idea what we're talking about. The new board members and the public has an idea what we're talking about. Okay, so go ahead and at this moment, I want to stop. And Dave Pierce, are you present?
No,
Dave's not here, man.
he's not here.
Okay. All right. I thought he would be here today. So anyway, as we get deeper into this, he may have some presentations or something to say in the meetings about this, and keep us informed on what's progressing as we decide what to do. There should be okay, we need to go back up. I failed to put a link in. We need to go back up to page 2. And then, I'm sorry, down page 1. So we're actually going to page 3. There's new business. We have a new line there, policy and bylaws for review and proposal. We should be, every meeting, we should be looking at policy and bylaws, make sure they're up to date, that they're current, and that's important. So as we progress down next page, you see we're here, that was policies. Now we're in bylaws. We'll be going through those, having some discussion. Give me a second. Okay, next page down, please. There's election of officers. We have a treasury and secretary seat that is one seat, and we will try to split those seats so that those jobs can be better attended to. And then one of the items is April, maybe after everybody is used to working with the board, working on the board, we'll proceed to seat a president. We've authorized signers resolution. You can see the rest of them. We'll progress down to through those, and those will be explanatory as we progress into them. You'll see what they're about. And then I talked about the very last item there, review of minutes, accept and release within 48 hours, and they'll be published unapproved and then approved at the next board meeting as the bylaws dictate. Let's see. Okay, we're going to go back to slide 2. Use that link, please. Give me a second. Okay, so we've gotten through opening of agenda. I would like to proceed to public comments. Again, each person has that would like to speak, present a question or a statement to the board. We have 3 minutes. Let's respect everybody and stay within that constraint. I'd like you to sign in if you haven't, and introduce yourself, and proceed. All right, let's go ahead and start with the first person.
I'm Liz there.
You first.
Yeah, Steve DeCope is my name. I've been coming down here since 1960, a resident since 2011, I guess, in Camden County. And I'm not a public speaker, I'm sorry, but I made a few notes this morning when I was gonna be coming to this. And first of all, we would all agree the purpose of the library. I thought it was maybe for education, entertainment, I guess, right? And then to expand understanding and tolerance of others and to promote a healthy society. Are we all in agreement on that? Okay. The population of Camden County is now about 44,000, I believe. And according to a Gallup poll that I saw, 7.2% of Americans are identified as being gay. That works out to be about 3,100 Camden County residents that are currently alive and probably of age, identify themselves as being gay. So that's almost 10% of Camden County residents, and their voices should not be shunned. I got 3 minutes. There's not really a certain thing that makes a person gay. There's not a gene that makes you gay. You don't know you're gay probably till you're through puberty, I don't know. Books sure as hell heck don't make you gay. There are gay animals. There's like 1,500 species of animals that have been shown to exhibit homosexual tendencies that they really can't explain. And we know animals aren't reading books. So anyway, there's no explanation yet, but they should have a place in our society, because you probably know somebody or love somebody or like somebody that's gay. And we would not want to have their lives punished by being gay. They're just people. They're just like you and me. So anyway, about 10% of our society right here in Camden County that we do not want to hurt or step on their toes. I think why everybody's here is because we had books that were moved from the shelf about a month ago. And I'd like to just real quick, I think what we ought to do is identify what the issue is, why everybody's here. Number 2, find out is what is objectable about each of those books. Get them in here so we can all look at them.
Yes.
3, what is the threat, fear, everybody that doesn't want them here? What don't they like about them? 4, any solutions that would address both parties' concerns. There's gotta be a solution that would make everybody maybe not happy, but that they could live with. Nobody's gonna be 100% happy in this. We all have to be able to work something out to where we can tolerate it. 5, What have other communities done? I'm sure they've ran into the same problem. What have other communities done? Fix this. Are the local librarians involved in trying to solve this issue? And, you know, we probably have a head librarian here, I guess.
Branch managers.
Yeah. Have we researched outside organization suggestions on this? Have we contacted the ALA? What do they suggest to do to keep everybody happy that's in this room? And then 7, what are the parents, librarians' responsibilities, and what is the board's responsibility in this? That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't want to speak.
No, I just thought we were supposed to sign in. Right.
Sydney?
Good morning. Hi, Mr. Gutman, can you hear me?
Yes.
First of all, I want to say welcome to our new board members. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of you, but for those I haven't, it's nice to meet you. And for our transplants, welcome to Camden County and the Lake of the Ozarks, and I hope you love it. I should have pulled this out so I was ready to speak. Also, I think our board meetings are cursed with bad weather. Last month it was sleeting, now it's snowing or something.
Oh, you have nothing better to do.
Right. So good morning again. I read on the agenda that the board will be discussing removing the Camden County Library District from the American Library Association and the Missouri Library Association, or at least discussing them, the possibilities of leaving. I specifically saw that you will discuss removing the Freedom to Read statement and the Library Bill of Rights from our policies. I am here today to defend these foundations of library ethics and to ask you not to remove them. The American Library Association is the professional organization that provides library staff with ethical standards. Removing the American Library Association would be akin to removing the American Bar Association from lawyers or the American Medical Association from doctors. A cornerstone of the American Library Association is democracy. The American Library Association created the Freedom to Read statement and the Library Bill of Rights to demonstrate to librarians how to uphold democracy and freedom in our libraries. These statements protect the confidentiality of patrons, access to education, prevention of discrimination, professionalism, and standing against indoctrination. Considering we are a community that stands for democracy and freedom, I ask why we would separate ourselves from organizations and guidelines that protect these American values. Thank you for your values. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much.
Gina?
I'll take a pass, thank you.
Okay. Nancy?
Yes, that would be me.
Yeah, it was done.
I'm gonna kind of speak off subject, for one issue and then back on the subject of book banning on a second. I didn't know what avenue to pursue to request the library sites throughout the county for having petitions. And I would like to support a petition for the constitutional freedom for women's health and reproductive health. And it's a nonpartisan group, and we are collecting signatures to put that issue on the ballot in November. And we would like to use libraries.
Ma'am, please, we do need to stay on topic. I appreciate that. And if you would, if we have some time to talk after and you'd like to speak to folks on that, I appreciate that. We do need to stay on topic with the library issues, and I ask that you would bring those issues.
Okay, and perhaps all I want to know is like, who do I ask? Is it the board?
I'm sorry, say that again. I'm sorry, I missed it. Say that again, please.
Who do I ask to get that approval?
Who do you ask about what?
To have a petition at the library sites in Camden County.
Contact me.
Okay, will do. All right, so I would like to speak to the book banning, and that there are standards that have been established by the Missouri Library Association and the American Library Association about how to handle that. So it's not like we have to reinvent the wheel. It's available. And I thought Cindy did an eloquent job in defining the importance of us staying affiliated with both the MLA and the ALA. A decision to withdraw from that would be bad for Camden County, for our constituents, for our students, for our kiddos, for us. And I discourage the board from taking that action, please. Thank you.
I apologize for interrupting interrupting you. I am going to try to keep us moving and addressing library issues, and thank you for your input.
Karen?
So I hadn't actually planned on speaking today, but I did grab a few things. I've been going through the books on the banned list. Some of them, they do have some explicit material in them, but they are meant for an audience that is a little bit older. It's my understanding that any students under the age of 18 must have parental permission to check those out. I know that last time there was mention of a teacher-student orgy. I was really interested in this, so I immediately bought the book and read it over the weekend. It was a series, and I read all 3 books. You know, context really matters in these things. This relationship that was described as a pornographic orgy was actually a sexual assault. This is a cautionary tale. This is not grooming. This is not a how to pervert your school. It is a cautionary tale for students that these relationships with teachers outside of the school building are probably inappropriate, and they should look at that, you know, through a lens of suspicion. The next book that I want to talk about was All Boys Aren't Blue. This one also had sexual assault in it. It was very explicit in first sexual experiences. This is about a man, a person of color who is gay, but kind of wondered where he fit in. I mean, I would actually hope that this book would be housed with other memoirs and maybe not in the teen section, as it did cover material that was really for more of a college-age audience. Anybody who was seeking that book will know where to find it in the library. I wasn't able to get through all of the material. I did get through a lot of the children's material. I've worked with kids for my entire career. I've been a teacher, I've been a Girl Scout leader, I've taught Sunday school in my church. I love children and I love families. And my goal as a human is to protect those families. And in order to do that, families have to be seen in the library. I know we touched on that the last time we were here, and they deserve to be seen. If you don't want your children to learn about transgenderism, then don't teach them. But I am going to tell you that society will. If you don't head those conversations, they will learn it, and you don't have any control over that. It happens at school, it happens in the grocery store. So you are the child's first teacher. I would like to really quick touch on this book that was on the banned list. It was removed from the library and unavailable on platforms, so I did have to buy this one as well. It was written in 1993 by Louis Sacker. It didn't age very well, I will say, but it starts out that Casey Hamilton said, if you kiss yourself on the elbow, you'll turn into a girl. It's true, said Casey. If a boy kisses his elbow, he'll turn into a girl. And if a girl kisses her elbow, she'll turn into a boy. Can you change back? Asked Martin. Sure, said Casey. You just have to kiss your elbow again. Does it matter which elbow you kiss, he asked. Either one, said Casey, but it has to be on the outside, where it's hard, not the soft part on the inside. I'm really unsure. This is a silly book. Louis Sacker is a very renowned
I did take my eye off the clock, and I'm going to ask Vicki if you could pay attention to time on that for me. I kind of got a few things going on.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I certainly don't want to go over. Did I go over?
So could you have time on that?
Well, if anybody would like to take a look at this before you leave, I'll have it right up here. I also have several of the books on my Kindle if you're curious. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's proceed.
Melissa?
guys are welcome to have one if you'd like as well. Just let me get them and then I will bring it to you. And if I need to make more copies, I can, so don't worry. You're welcome.
And about after you're losing your mind.
Anyone else? Of course you can. Sure, I only have this many left, but if I need more copies, just let me know. So, I wanted to be here last time you guys met, but I wasn't able to. And I heard that there were books that were explicit. Louder. Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. That were explicit in nature. And so I work with kids, and I actually am part of a foundation that fights against human trafficking and survivors of aftercare. So I want to talk about this issue because it's so important. So let's first talk about pornography, what it actually is. Printed or visual material containing the explicit description or display of sexual organs or activity intended to stimulate erotic rather than pleasure. So let's get to that. So these books that I've been hearing about and I've read excerpts of are ridiculous. The mental health effects of our kids that will be affected by these books, by seeing these books, by reading them, the anxiety, the depression, suicidal ideation, sexual relationships, a history of having intimacy disorders in the future. These are all issues that our kids can face. Not only that, their brains will be affected. There have been even more studies recently, which I'm thankful for, about how it's affecting our kids' brains and how it's decreasing the interest of long-term reward. So their brain is experiencing that immediate pleasure. And so they have a really hard time then with lasting rewards, which means low motivation. They won't be able to reach those long-term goals, like college, like having future-term goals to make their life better. They won't have any desire for that because they want those immediate effects. Okay, and then let's also talk about the FCC. The obscenity clause is there, where it says broadcasting obscene content is prohibited by law at all times of the day. It depicts sexual conduct in a patently offensive way, and indecency portrays sexual or excretory organs or activities in a way that is patently offensive. So if we won't let our kids watch it on television, why are we going to have books about it? Why are we going to have our kids have access to those? We don't want that. Not only that, we have a federal law on obscenity. So federal law prohibits the possession with intent to sell or distribute obscenity, to send, ship, or receive obscenity, to import obscenity, and to transport obscenity across state borders. Which, when kids check out these books, when parents check out these books, you're distributing that pornography. You're distributing that obscenity to them. And because we are...
Ma'am, I thank you so much. Vicki, are we over time?
Becky is taking care of the time.
We have 6 seconds left.
All right, thank you. Please take the 6 seconds and we'll go forward.
Okay, so then, so you're distributing it. On top of that, because we have multiple districts, you're distributing it across and you're sending and shipping it as well. So we want to be careful what our kids have access to. So I appreciate that the books are not available, and I ask that you continue to not make them available to protect our kids.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Whoever has the clock there, if you would say, you would please verbalize time when you see the session is ended.
Okay.
Julie?
So, I was here last time, and I'm still stuck on this thing about, we need to go through these books. I agree, we need to go through these books. We need to find out if any of them are decent enough for our kids, right? We need to find the age-appropriate ones, make sure that they have access to that. We're not talking about banning all books, and we're not against any kind of LGBTQ idea or agenda they may have. I said last time, I don't know if you were here, but I had a daughter that was gay, and I have a lot of friends that are gay, and I worked in the health system, and St. Luke's Hospital, and most of the doctors I worked with were gay. So this is not an issue. This is not the issue. The issue is the graphic content and access by children. But still, I'm stuck on the people that have the most influence on our most at-risk children really pushing for these books. That's concerning. So once we figure out what is and is not appropriate by reviewing, I guess the library board is going to review every one of these books and see if they're appropriate or not. Then I think we need to take, again, a look at, you know, the safety of the children who are close to people who push it. That's a whole nother issue. But we're concerned about their safety. That's what we want. So I really like that list you put together. Thank you for that. We got to go through some steps to get it right, and I think a good board in place ought to be able to handle that, right?
With our system.
Yeah.
With our system.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So when you say people who push, are you speaking of like parents who check the material out?
People who
and allow
say,
it for
no, people who say that there's no books that can be banned. People that say that all content should be accessible. People who don't want any of
Do
this.
you feel like that's what's being said here today? Because that's not what I'm hearing. I just wanted to clarify. That is not what I'm hearing. And I know I'm speaking out of turn. Thank you, board, for allowing me to have a conversation. I'm hearing that we do want to keep our kids safe, and we just want everything to be in an age-appropriate area.
No,
And
that's not what you're hearing out of my mouth.
You
My
want them
mouth
lock and key.
well, I don't, have you, the ones where they're just showing
45
the
seconds.
pictures and things, just, they can't have access, kids can't have access to that.
Kids defined as
They're
anything
not
under
adults.
18.
Well, they can't go to,
30 seconds.
they can't go,
Okay, thank you so much.
they can't go in the military, they're not adults, they can't work. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Sandy, you're next.
Thank you.
I'm sitting here and hearing all this stuff about pornography, and it seems to me that none of us want kids to have pornography. I mean, that's a given. I think the board is going to be stuck in some respects in that you have to find whether or not these books fit the legal description of pornography. Because this has been litigated numerous times all over the country. So you have to conform to the law as to what the definition of pornography is. Because if you ban a book that doesn't fit the legal definition of pornography, you're going to get a lawsuit. So there you also then have to consider, do you have the money to defend a lawsuit against the library? So I just sort of wanted to point that out because I don't think people realize that the definition of pornography isn't necessarily what's in these books. They may very well not fit the definition legally of pornography. So I would suggest that if you don't have an attorney on staff to also review these books to see the definition of pornography, you could be in big trouble and have a big legal bill coming in if you try to defend banning a book that does not fit the legal definition of pornography. I have not yet received a list of the books that are proposed to be banned. It would be nice for us to see what it is people are objecting to, because I don't object to banning pornography. I want to make sure that the books that we are proposing to ban is actually fitting the definition of pornography. That's all. Thank you.
Laura?
Thank you. I'm Laura Scott, and I have two things I'd like to address today. First of all, is after the last meeting, I did go to the graphic book section in the children's area, the teen area, And I looked through stuff because I keep hearing these words, pornography, sex. And when I first came to the meeting last time, I thought we were just talking about LGBTQ matters. And so I thought we were addressing gender issues. And I'm not sure everyone understands that gender issues are very different from actually sex and pornography, okay? So that's first of all. So when I went over there, I didn't find anything, so I asked a librarian to help me, and they didn't really know of anything. So then I actually spoke to the person who ordered the bulk of those books, and they didn't know anything. So I asked them to give me an idea of what might be considered the most controversial graphic novel in there. And I checked it out, and I took it home. I didn't find anything. So when we keep talking about pornography in the library, I haven't found it yet, okay? Then also, I want to say that's a dangerous road. I recently read we're banning books that are not historically correct, which I think is actually a better path to go. But I mean, we could ban Gone with the Wind. You know, where are we going to stop? We're going to start, and then we're going to keep going, and pretty soon there's not going to be any books left in the library. And then to change the direction I'm going, I'm just curious about the board. I'm just looking for representation. I wonder which library you guys frequent, because there's several libraries in the Camden County. Are we represented? What library do you is closest to your home?
This is the closest one for me.
Camdenton?
Well, actually, I'm almost halfway between the two of them, but I prefer this one.
Between Camdenton and?
Osage.
Okay.
This one also.
Okay.
Osage Beach, but then now I'm in trouble with Camden.
Here. Sunrise Beach.
Okay.
Osage Beach is my closest library.
Thank you. I forgot about you. Sorry. I'm just curious because I'm from Max Creek and I also go to Climax Springs, and so I feel like some suggestions for the future are to maybe try to represent all the way across the county.
25 seconds.
And I also think it's important that we work on the process for how you get library board members. It was very confusing. I know this is the county commission, but if it came from the library board, I don't understand why you couldn't have applications here. I could not find an application online. I came here, they didn't know, they found out for me, then I had to go get it, and then there weren't any set out there. So I think that area also needs to be addressed, but thank you for the work you do for the board.
Anyone else? That's the end of the list. Anyone else? Okay.
Okay, we'd like to move on to, do we review the minutes or do we just accept them? How do we go, Vicki, if you could help us with that
I would
procedure?
need a motion.
What is the process of accepting the minutes from the last meeting?
Okay, we need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve them.
Okay?
Now, is this the time where we discuss them?
No.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to make a change to the minutes, yes, not to the procedures how we're doing them right now.
That will be that, as far as talking about making the minutes public, that's down at the bottom of the agenda.
No,
we'll get to that.
It's not actually about that.
Okay, then yes.
Maybe it's a little bit of editorializing.
All right, great.
Okay, so I apologize to the audience because I'm kind of the resident nerd here.
Oh, you seconded.
Bill, can I interrupt you for a minute? I missed something that is going to be very valuable. Bill and I are the veterans on the board. We've had some changes. Bill, if you could go ahead and, as part of to return to the introduction momentarily, could you please elaborate on anything you'd like to the board in addition to your comments on the minutes, please?
Yeah, okay. We did kind of skip over that. One of the things, most of the board members started back in August of last year, so we're all relatively new. I was appointed in September, so I didn't even start with that original board. And it was a strange dynamic. We had one veteran from the board, John Olivari, who was very valuable to us because none of us knew what we were doing. And we had 4 new members, and One of the difficulties back then is we never got to know each other. We never had a time to sit down together and just talk among ourselves and let each person know what our vision for the library was, why we were on the board, why we thought this was important. And because we never had that conversation, everybody kind of was distrustful of one another. We didn't know who were the liberals and who were the conservatives. We didn't know whose values had what. Somebody here mentioned a better understanding about which libraries we go to. So we have kind of a narrow view because we're mostly Camdenton people, part of Camden County. We didn't know, we didn't trust each other. And as a result, when we were just making decisions, which we launched into immediately, we didn't know what to think of what each person was saying. So I think it's very important for our board that we somehow have a time to get together and just get to know one another. And the Sunshine Law, unfortunately, makes that very difficult because we're not allowed to meet outside of a board meeting. So if we wanted to get to know each other, we'd have to bore you folks because you are all excited about the issue of censoring books, and we're more interested in the policies. We're not the library director. We don't run the library. We make high-level policies related to the library. It's kind of a much more philosophical job than an action job. And so when I started, we had no visitors like you coming to our board meeting because nobody was interested in us. Nobody knew what we were for, what we did, and so nobody came. And we'd have meetings in a little room because nobody was interested. Now you've hit a hot button topic and all of a sudden everybody's excited about the library. But in the meantime, we're trying to kind of focus back on what the high-level decisions are and not the specifics. That's why we hired Jim, because he's going to do the tough work. He's going to figure out your concerns. Those aren't necessarily our immediate concerns. We're the library board. So I don't know exactly where I'm going with this. Maybe what would be a good idea is if we went around to our new board members especially, or all of our board members, and said, and asked the question, ask you to kind of contribute. Why are you on the board? And I'll start with my philosophy of why I'm on the board, just to get you thinking about it. The reason I joined the board is the Camden County Commission appointed me. They said, we want you to be on the board. And they asked me what my interest was. And my interest is to make the library as important to the county as possible. And very critical to that is transparency and accountability. Most of the boards that I've been on in the past, I was on the board in the little town of Lynn Creek. And again, nobody came to our meetings because who cared, you know? But the truth was that we did a lot of things kind of in secret, because when a board doesn't get an audience, when the community isn't involved, the board just says to themselves, well, how do we just get our work done? And we do agendas and we don't put them on the big screen. We might post them on the library board, the library door. We might put them on a website, and 95% of the community doesn't know what's happening. We want to change all of that. We want to involve people more. We want to be more public. We want to be more responsive. I consider myself a representative of the people of Camden County. When I first joined the board, somebody, I think it was at the September meeting, a member of the old board got up and said, the library is accountable to nobody but the library. That's literally what this former board member said. And I know what she meant. She meant that the library has a hierarchy and librarians know best, all of those kinds of standard things. But it's, in my opinion, not the way a democratic society operates. Adam will quickly chime in that we're not a democracy. He'll say we're a republic, and he's quite right. We're a constitutional republic. We're a democratic society that operates through representatives. So we on the board are representatives, and we're going to have to make some hard decisions, and we're going to listen to you, but we're mostly going to do what our philosophies, our individual philosophies suggest, because that's the way a representative government works. The other factor of democracy, I'm kind of spilling over into your issue a bit, is the majority tends to rule. But the majority in an American democracy also strives to do no harm to anybody, any minority. So we have both things to consider. So,
Well,
yes.
let's go ahead and move to the.
Sorry.
Thank you very
My
much.
3 minutes
Let's
is up.
Please move to the next.
Okay, so there's a motion on the
Would like to
floor.
go next?
Would anybody else like to talk about why they're on the board? Hey, how about you?
I can say a few words. First off, the fact that so many people showed up to have input into what's going on, this is absolutely wonderful. This is why I'm here, because very few people like you show up at meetings like this, like Bill was talking about. No one showed up, so who cared? But I watched the last couple of meetings, and in here I've heard several things about, you know, the definition of pornography, the possibility of lawsuits if you ban books. First off, I hate that word. We're not banning books. Nobody wants to ban books. What we want to do is we want to look at some of these books and make sure they're age appropriate. If you're over 12 years old, is this appropriate for you? Some books, if you can't smoke, you can't vote, you shouldn't be looking at these books unless your parents get them for you. Second off, we're not in 1964 where we're, you know, just throwing books in the fire and, you know, having communist meetings and someone referred to this as being Nazi, which I find absolutely ridiculous. What we're looking at is the children in our schools have been subtly indoctrinated over the last 20 to 30 years. The entire fabric of our society is changing, and a lot of that is shown by all the mass shootings that are going on as an example. The hierarchy of the government has just gone nuts. The president of the Board of Education in Washington, D.C. has been shoving everything down the kids' throats. I mean, if you go out and look at some of the stuff that's going on. But I digress. And anyway, Adam came up with several pages of state and federal laws that clearly define pornography. And if they're not on the website, I'm sure Adam will make sure they're out there for everybody. And I ran through some of these, and some of it makes your eyes bleed reading it. It's like you've got to be a lawyer to try to figure out what they're actually telling you. But that's the way they cover all their bases and dot all their I's and cross all their T's to say that this is what you can and cannot do. And again, being a constitutional republic, we're a democracy based on you can and cannot do certain things.
Jay, I'm going to move along to the next person. Dr. Mary Pat, if you could elaborate a little bit, if you would like to.
I would love to. I love libraries, always have. That's the reason I wanted to be on this board. I used to do a children's story hour years ago, taught children's literature in college. And, you know, I'm involved with the book clubs at the library. What better place to take an adventure? I mean, open up a book, whether you're 2 years old or you're 102 years old. Open up a book, you can take an adventure. So much stuff to learn, so many things to learn, so many things to question, so many things to just explore. That's why I'm on this board, is to make sure that there are books available for people who want to explore and take the adventure. There may be some little caveats here, there may be some little roadblocks along the way, and we'll get that all figured out. And thank you, every single one of you, for being here and with your input. I appreciate that.
This is my first step out into community service. I don't have a lot of background. I was the administrative assistant to the assistant superintendent of a school district in Illinois. So I have a little bit of education as far as how, what is brought in and have a little knowledge, but that's pretty much all I'm bringing in my own philosophy. And I have to agree with Jay on many of the items that he has brought out, and I will tell you right up front, I'm not for banning books. That would not be something that I would promote. I do believe that our children need to be protected, and they are getting attacked every day from all sides, and I think it's our responsibility to protect them as much as possible. Who better to protect them than their parents? So their parents need to be the ones that actually have access to these, you know, this information if they want. It should not be freely given to any age group unless they're of 18. But that's my passion. I'm just getting into this, like I said, and this just happened to be a hot topic. So I listen, I understand what you're saying, but my first priority would be to protect the kids.
All right, thank you very much. I'll just go quickly. I heard about the opening for the board, and I was very had a lot of questions about the library, and certainly some issues in the media were coming up that I wanted to participate in. I want to go back real quick. 13-year-old little kid riding around on a bicycle that could go for miles, and somewhat unsupervised. That was me, and presented with things. Sometimes I rode that bicycle into things I shouldn't have been riding into and shouldn't have been presented with as a kid. One of the things, one of the safe places I had to go, one of the blessings that I realize now is that I went to a library that had, and I discovered this cabinet in the back of the library that had these time exposures, or their long exposures of the entire city that or little town that I grew up in. And they were from the late 1800s of that little town with horse and buggy on the roads that I was familiar with, riding that bicycle all over, and I was just taken by that. And it got to the point where I would, and there was much more historical things. We're talking, I was 11, 12 years old, and that librarian got used to me coming in and would have that key on the counter for me to get and go into that cabinet and go through all these historical old things. I was, for some reason, naturally attracted to that sort of thing. Don't know why. Anyway, that stuck with me for years. That was a safe haven for me to go. That was, and of course, I also have an obsessive thing with words and knots. I enjoy them very much. There's a lot of words in the library, and I'll bet I can find a book on knots. So, let's see, we're going to move along. Okay, so are we going to approve minutes?
We have a motion on the floor.
I guess I never got to say my little bit about the minutes.
Okay, let's make that quick. So what I did want to say real quick is that we're going to do 2 hours. It's 2 hours plus what the public brings, what the public comment and address to us brings. So I'm going to try to keep us in 2 hours. It's going to go longer than 2 hours because we had a lot of public input today. So let's keep moving. Bill,
okay,
please.
I'll try to do it in 30 seconds.
Thank you.
I'm going to vote to approve the minutes in a minute. But here's what the minutes say. Many of you were at the January meeting. It was a big public forum, lots of people expressing a lot of things. And what it says in the minutes is, let's see, public comments. The board heard comments from the public. That's what the minutes say. And I'm not being critical of Vicki, because she probably crafted this. But it would be a big job to take that discussion and distill it down into something that we could present. Because many people, the only thing they'll get out of that meeting is these written minutes. And this doesn't really truly reflect what happened in that meeting. So somehow we have to come up with something better than just putting a 3-hour video on the website. There are many people who can't stream the 3-hour video. So ultimately we will have to fix the way we do minutes to make the library minutes more accessible to people. So that's my editorial.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, and you second?
I did second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Aye. And okay, move along to the treasurer's report. Vicki, if you would take that.
Yes, in your packet, you will see the treasurer's report for the operating account, which is the account that we pay bills from. You will notice that most of this is money coming in. Money comes into that. So each item, each line is broken down to how much money comes in with by the category. And then the disbursements comes out. So that is your operating account. The money market account is where, it's like the money market account, like any other money market account. You hold your money there. As you need it, you transfer it to pay payroll and pay bills. So this is where you're standing. I wanted to point out that you will notice that the operating account has a negative balance. We do not have a negative balance. That's just timing. Bills that are incurred in January, even the ones that will be paid today, are dated January because they're incurred in January. We do a modified cash basis for accounting. So that's why that is. So, yes, everybody kind of wonders that. So I'm asking for a motion to approve both of those treasurer's reports.
I'll motion.
Thanks, Jay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And the next item is the bills payable. I think everybody got that. And I tried to put as much detail on the description of what bills we're paying. Is there any questions about any of the bills that we're paying or any of the descriptions? Everything makes sense? All right, that's an accomplishment.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
Now that I'm here.
Real quick, I'm sorry. Vicki?
Yes.
I did want to ask, on the treasurer report, we did talk about showing money in and money out in the accounts, and we had talked about going to a red font on the money going out.
Yes, sir.
So some people print something out or they're looking at something that might only come up as black, and so you don't see that. A minus sign can get lost. Could we use either enclosed and B brackets for credits to those accounts, or an alternate column, like a debit and credit column, to show that, so that when somebody pulls that up, it immediately hits them, they see what they're looking at.
Yep, absolutely. I will make those adjustments for our next meeting.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Jim, I interrupted you.
The one thing I wanted to say is that now that I'm here, all bills come across my desk first. I initial them. If I don't understand what they are, I go and ask. So there's nothing sliding through here. From now on, everything has my initials on it before she can, my staff can, cut the checks. So just for the board's benefit, I want you to know that I see everything, okay?
Thank you.
I want to encourage the board, all of us, to, and even the public, if you want to bring something and you can get it done within 3 minutes, that we use PowerPoint, that we continue to make that an integral tool. And I'm brushing up on that, and if you couldn't see, I was probably a little disheveled. I would like this to be an integral tool, and when we talk about the treasury report, or we have something, that should go up so that the public can see it. And I really appreciate you all being here. I hope we see more of this involvement. It's very nice to have you all here. Please proceed.
Okay, so need a motion to approve the bills if nobody has any questions?
I'll make a motion that we approve all the bills.
Thanks, Mary Pat.
As listed.
I'll second it.
All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, we're going to proceed into unfinished business. And so we're going to start with the topic that that a lot of people had that were here to discuss today. So it's going to be age appropriate. This is books and parental/guardian awareness and consent. A little fact finding. What is the applied metric for selection of books? Within the laws that we have. At this point, there will be a point at the end of the meeting, near the end of the meeting, where the director will have the floor. But right now, the director does have a proposal in this, and I'd like to give him the floor specifically for that proposal.
Thank you, Adam. I got nothing. I'm just kidding. I'll tell you what, this is a hot topic, and I'm sure there'll be other hot topics in the future. I think what a lot of people forget is that we've gone through a lot of these things in the past. Do y'all remember when the rap music came out? Remember what a controversy that was, all the way to the national level, to Congress. Video games, same thing, you know, it became a huge issue. And so when you start getting into this rabbit hole of what do you do with books, I'm here to tell you right here and now, I'm not going to ban any books. None. No books will be banned. All right? Now, in having said that, I want you to understand how I came to my conclusion as to how we would handle this. And the proposal that I'll be submitting to the board, they're all new. I'm going to submit this to them and hope that they will approve it so that we can very quickly implement it and get this whole issue behind us. And in doing the research, one of the first things I had to do is I had to find out, what does the state say? Because right now, I don't know if you all are aware, state legislators have made moves to actually pull all the funding from libraries. And they actually did it last year, and we were able to get it, you know, kicked back down, and they said, well, maybe that's a little radical, but pulling funding, now we're going to be in real trouble if we lose state funding for our libraries. The other issue that's being kicked around, and this is going to be fun for the board here, your first time here, there are members of the state legislature that would like to see the boards of all libraries be elected, like your school boards. And in having done that, they said, and we would let them run the library. Now, I don't know about you all, but, well, Tag, you may be you know, the odds of that happening are slim to none, in my opinion, but, you know, this is something that's being discussed in places like St. Louis and Kansas City. But you can full well imagine, you can see how hard it is to work with a board on a day-to-day basis, and I'm sure in some of the businesses that you have all been involved with in community service, you can see how hard it is to come to a consensus. Can you full well imagine if you had it running like a school board, trying to address issues like this? So I'm just giving you a heads up, these are the kind of things that are out there. And for that reason, what happened is, back in June of last year, Missouri Secretary of State, Jay Ashcroft, his office came out with guidelines and policies on what our libraries here in the state have to do in order to continue to get our funding. So I spent quite a bit of time analyzing that and talking to some friends of mine that work in the legislature. And they actually have a state statute. It's 15 CSR 30-200.015. Don't you love when they do that to you, right? But basically what it is, it falls under what they call library certification for the requirement of the protection of minors. And they give you a whole set of guidelines as a library. You have to create and have a published policy of how you're going to deal with these things. We're banned from buying materials that are, quote, child pornography. And yes, I understand what you're all saying. You know, now you're talking state legislature is going to determine that, right? Well, you can imagine how well that's going. Libraries have to create and publish a policy for the parents. No age inappropriate materials. Events have to designate, you know, age limits, etc. So they came up with this whole list of things, and as states are notorious for doing, they say, okay, handle it, right? And so, you know, when I took this job, I stepped right into this, okay? And so I'm doing the best I can trying to wade through what's in the mind of the legislature, all right? Yeah, isn't that great? Yeah. And, you know, I could make comments, but I'm not going to. Then, of all things, and you guys can pull this up, and I've got some handouts here that we can hand out after the meeting, they actually, and I'd love to have been a fly on the wall, the legislature sat there and debated terms of what pornography is. You know, and you know how they do. Well, what is a child? You know, and what is child pornography? And, you know, what is, yeah, they went right down the list. And there are about 4 or 5 pages of what this is. So, you know, we can debate all we want here about defining it, but the bottom line is if we want to keep our state funding, I'm in a position and the board is in a position where we have to comply with what the state is telling us. Unless you all just want to tell them, forget it, you know, and then we'll, you know, be back to a one-room schoolhouse with a library with 6 books, you know. So that's one of the big issues. And I know this is indicative of what we see nationwide. You know, I've worked in 2 major state agencies, and when everybody would ask why in the world are we doing this, inevitably it was, well, we'll lose our funding if we don't. And then I was one of those stupid guys that would say, well, where did they get the money? Think about that. Where did they got it from us? Exactly. We gave them the money. Think about this, guys. We gave them the money, and then they came back and said, if you'd like any of that back, you have to do this, this, and this. And, you know, I'm pontificating, but you can imagine, you know. So I'm looking at all of this saying, all right, what do we need to do? And in looking at the materials, looking at what the state is requiring from us, and trying to keep the public happy, because number one, these libraries are your libraries, okay? I'm just trying to run the thing, okay? And I'm in the middle. I got to keep you all happy. I got to keep these people up here happy. I got to keep the little guy in the box happy, all right? And so what I'm trying to do is try to come up with a compromise, and I heard it a couple of times as each of you was speaking. And so here's what I'm proposing, all right? First, number one, I am not banning any books, all right? The books will all still be available in our libraries, okay? Second, I am going to comply as best I can with the state statutes so that we don't lose state funding. Okay? I have reviewed the current policies and procedures for purchasing library materials, and just some simple changes that I've made. Everything comes across my desk. Everything. Every library that purchases books, it comes across my desk. And the main reason why is I want to make sure that we're still compliant with state law. Okay? And that's a huge undertaking, trust me. A lot of people don't understand how much this is a huge machine, works all day long, and they're very busy, okay? And we do have policies that deal with our library policy manuals in Section 2. Under the operating policies, subsection 19 talks about the purchasing of books. So we already have policies, which is one of the requirements from the state, okay? As I say, all the books will be purchased by the library staff under my direction, okay, with my approval. So here it is, all right? What we're going to do, and I want to compliment the staff because they all pulled together to help me come up with a solution. At first, it seems like it's simple enough. Just take these books and put them over here on this shelf and it's done. But you have to understand, in this day and age, we have things like electronic scanners for books. We have the Evergreen system. We have all these different systems that if we implement something, it's going to have to cover statewide all the books in and out of this place, okay? So, you know, we've had a tendency in our discussions to just look at it like what's in that little room over there. It's much bigger than that, okay? So, in the Camden County Library District, the Missouri Evergreen Card Catalog record. Okay? In other words, you can come in here and if we don't have the book, you can pull it from Evergreen, all right? What we are going to do is we ask them if there's a way that we can flag that book. And they've worked with us and we've come up with a way to tag the books to where it says challenge sensitive topic. That's all it says. It's just a way so that the librarians, when they see it, say, okay, this might be one of the books that has been challenged, okay? Now, it lets the patrons know, first off, that it might be an item that they don't want their kids to check out. I'm not making that judgment, but at least we're just like a warning label on a record or a warning label on a video game. You see the same thing? In essence, that's what we're going to do, all right? Then, what I've done is in these handouts, you'll actually see, we put one of the books there and just gave you an example of how this will be flagged in the librarian's
In our Evergreen card catalog?
In the card catalog. It'll actually come up in the card catalog for both the patron who's trying to get it and for the librarian. So they can see, okay, this thing has been tagged as a possible controversial book, okay? And understand this. This is important to me. Right now, our issue seems to be the whole LGBTQ, all of that. You're looking at somebody that was a college teacher for 27 years. And one of the big issues, those of you that are teachers, and as far as I'm concerned, everybody on this board and everybody that works for this library is a teacher. It's all about education. I forget who said it. The hardest thing a teacher can do is remain neutral. Absolutely the hardest thing that you can do. And we used to kid about it because we'd say the students are like a pack of dogs. One will grab you, pull you down, the rest jump on you, okay? And so inevitably what they would do is they try and bait you to take one side or the other. And unfortunately, that's kind of the situation we're in here. And I can tell you right now, you can ask any of the librarians, any of the people that work here. I had an all hands on deck meeting with them about a week ago. And the first thing I said is, we are Switzerland. They can have whatever opinion they want, you know, politically, socially, whatever it is. But when they walk through the door of their library, they're Switzerland. And I won't tolerate anybody being anything other than that, okay? So, wanted to get that out there. Now, having tagged the books electronically, all right? All of the materials that have been challenged are going to be shelved in the adult shelves. I don't want to debate every day what goes in the kids section. The books are available, but they'll be in the adult section. So if a parent wants their kids to have that book, come on in, check it out for their child and give it to them, all right? But they are going to be housed in the adult section. They'll no longer be housed in the children's section. This is one of the compromises, all right?
This includes children's like board books and picture books.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes. And here's part of the beauty of the system, folks. And this is one of the biggest things I was worried about. I think it was you that's saying, where do we go down this rabbit hole, all right? Think about this. Who's to say, you know, we went through the records with the, you know, the rap music, we went through it with the video games, now here we are again. Who's to say down the road we're going to say, okay, you can't have anything, any books dealing with communism or the Communist Manifesto. You can't have any books dealing with capitalism. You know, we're going to be neutral. No, you know, that's the way you learn. You get both sides. All we're doing is making sure that we're putting this there and putting it back in the hands of the parents. I heard somebody say that as well, okay? So again, trying to keep a balance here. You know, not everybody's going to be happy that we've taken them out of the children's section. Not everybody's going to be happy that we're going to put it in the hands of the parents, but that's where I think it belongs, okay? I'm not your parent. The library is not your parent. And I wish that, you know, our school systems were the same way, all right? Unfortunately, I think a lot of people have thrown it into the hands of the school system or the library and said, here, you decide for me. Doesn't work that way. Those are your kids, you're gonna decide. You know, think about this, Darwinian theory. Are you aware of the fact that Kansas passed a law several years back that you could not teach Darwinian theory? No, in the schools, in the colleges in Kansas, you could not teach it. And if you did, you were arrested, there was a fine. And so what pushed it was the creationist side. They're saying, no, we're not gonna put up with any of that, all right? Well, bottom line is, when you're teaching something that's controversial, and it was just as controversial in Kansas at the time as this is now, what happened is that you had two sides warring each other. The legislature passed a law that said you can't teach this, and it was a disservice to the people. People should be able to see, here's this side, here's what they think, and here's this side. That's what we're trying to maintain here, okay? Cool? All right. Now, like I say, one of the big hiccups we had was this evergreen system. Because they said, what happens if a kid walks into the library, grabs a book, and goes over and checks it out himself? Here again, what this is going to do is it's going to be tagged to where it's going to come up with a thing for the kid to say, go to the librarian, you want to check this book out, and then we'll call the parents, whatever, and say, this is what the kid wants, you know, do you want to allow this, all right? So that's, in essence, what we're going to do, all right? And like I say, I have some handouts here for those of you after the meeting that want to take a look at this, all right? So again, what I'm trying to do is I'm presenting this. All of the members of the board will have a packet here with all this in it. And what I would like to do is recommend that this process be approved so that we can move forward and understand that the process will allow us to deal with controversies in the future beyond what we're just dealing with now. Because like I say, if somebody comes out later and says, absolutely no books by Michelle Obama, or absolutely no books by Rush Limbaugh, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, tag it, goes in the adult section. If you want it, come get it. Sound fair? Okay. That's all I have, Adam.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we are doing good on time so far. Let's see, this item will continue in unfinished business. Please let me know if I'm violating protocol. I'm still new at the board procedure myself. So I'm going to go forward. Let me know if I'm handling something wrong here. I move that we continue with item 1 under the G, unfinished business. Keeping it in unfinished business, give people a chance to give the new coming board members a chance to read through your proposal. Give the public time to think about it and at least get to the next meeting to vote on this proposal with public input, with the board educated and time to process. What's your thoughts on that? I'd like to hear from all of you. Just real quick, yes or no? Do we keep it in unfinished business and move forward?
Defer to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Okay, does that have to be a vote or is that just poll? Is that fine?
Let's go ahead and make
How
a
do we do
motion
that?
in a second and approve it just.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay.
Will the proposal be online?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The
I'm
question,
sorry, there's a question?
yeah, the question was, will this be online?
We can do that.
Can we do that? Can we get
Yes,
that up online?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely.
It'll be up
this afternoon?
Be up,
Is that
yes.
is it realistic?
It'll be up this afternoon.
Okay, all right. Let's move on. Okay, Jim, you had mentioned Missouri Evergreen. We have a Missouri Evergreen memorandum of understanding that we need to sign as a library to continue doing business with them.
That's
Would you elaborate on that a little bit, and let's decide if we're ready to vote on whether we sign that or not.
the Missouri Evergreen system is the one that allows us to borrow from other libraries. It's a huge system. You know, if we had to have all the books that they have, we'd need something the size of Busch Stadium. So basically, it's a great service. It's working well for us. They have made some changes to their bylaws. Pretty simple stuff. Just simply asking that we continue to send our employees to their training on how this, every time they update something to help us understand what they're doing, which that's fun in itself. And then it also asks that we have a succession plan. In other words, I call it the bus rule. If somebody gets hit by a bus, who's going to do the job? And that's in essence what they're asking for. We already have that. But this agreement, the changes they made was for all libraries statewide. And so there's just two little things they added to it, and those were the two. And I would like to make a recommendation that we go ahead and sign this and continue on business as usual.
Yeah, I make a...
Okay, I'm going to ask everybody real quick. We have 3 new board members. Are you ready to vote on this? Does this stay in unfinished business so that you get a chance to go up and look at Evergreen on the website? Have you looked at Evergreen? So I'm going to ask the new members, are you ready to vote on signing this agreement? Did you get enough from Jim on this? Do we vote on this? Are you ready to vote on this, or do we leave this in unfinished business?
I want to just state that that is how we do business. That's our integrated library system that checks in, checks out, catalogs the books as well as resource sharing, just so you know.
I use it a lot.
Most of our patrons do, yes.
So Mary Pat, are you ready to vote?
Yes, I am.
Rebecca, are you ready to vote?
Yes, I am.
Jaylon, are you ready to vote?
Yes, I am, Adam. I'm going to defer to Jim's judgment on this.
Bill?
Yep.
All right, let's take a vote on signing the Missouri Evergreen Memorandum of Understanding.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the Memorandum of Understanding with Missouri Evergreen.
I will second that. Okay, I'll third it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Wow.
We
We got
didn't
that
hear
off of unfinished business. What a.
We didn't hear from you, Adam. Did you?
Okay. Open meetings, records and sunshine policy. I would encourage with this one, we have with introductions and new board people and with taking the good time that we did with the public to have them express their sentiment on item 1. Bill, if you would maybe give us a brief overview of that, and then we'll decide whether do we have a proposal from you that to vote on?
I brought copies of everything for all the board members.
Okay. All right. So if you would elaborate for a bit, and then again, I'm going to poll to see if we're ready to take a vote on this.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it short, although it's kind of hard to keep it short. But it goes back.
I understand. Yes, as long as we are respecting time and keeping the press on, I appreciate it.
I'm staring at the clock. It's on the wall.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
This goes back to August, when most of us were new board members, and we immediately started to get kind of flummoxed by the sunshine law. Because whenever we tried to do the simplest thing, somebody would say, but that's a violation of the sunshine law. So, for example, one of our agenda items here is the 1081 Osage Beach property, and we tried to go over, a couple of board members tried to go over there to look at it, because it seemed like a good idea to know what we're talking about. And as soon as they tried to do that, somebody said, hey, you're now in a quorum situation because a majority of the board members are all together, and that has to be a public meeting. So it's kind of stupid stuff like that that happens in the sunshine law. As a result, the president of the board asked an expert to come down from Jefferson City. So we had an expert come in and give us a PowerPoint presentation on the sunshine law. And once that took place, I felt convicted that now that we understand the sunshine law, we probably should follow it. So, and I realized that none of the boards I've ever been on followed the sunshine law properly. So, being the nerdy person that I am, I went through the sunshine law line by line and figured out what it says, and not only figured out how we could perform the minimal of it, but actually go above and beyond and perform the spirit of it. Because the spirit of the sunshine law is you all should know what's happening in your library. And that's a challenging thing, as Jim has been describing. There are now so many digital electronic ways of doing business that it's well beyond just simply having an open meeting like this. We now have to deal with emails and Zoom conferences and all of that. So, with all of that said, I did come up with a plan and procedure that is 5 pages long. And I am tempted to read through it and kind of try to get it resolved today. We only have about a half an hour. That gets us to our 11 o'clock deadline. So if the board approves, we could go with this as the remainder of our meeting. The reason.
Okay, I do want to remind you that it's 2 hours plus of what the public used. That is, so we're going to go past 11. And I'll try to pay attention that we don't go much past what the public used for time.
Yeah,
I want us to have 2 hours of working, and I want the public to have free expression in these meetings with the constraints of the 3 minutes. So I wanted to make that note. Please go ahead.
Yeah, one of the comments I wanted to add to that is there really were 2 objectives when I wrote the procedure. One was to be more transparent, more public about things. And the other was to accommodate mostly email, because we have this 2-hour session once a month, and it's just not enough time to get all the work done. I see I'm driving people away. But I'm not offended. No, we have this 2-hour window of time to do all of our work. But meanwhile, we could correspond back and forth by email all month long and get lots of things prepared. Not in the sense of wanting to keep it secret from the public, but just getting some preliminary work done. So one of the things we did last month, actually, is I circulated my procedure to all of the then board members and got almost everybody to agree. And so we would have been able to vote on it and just approve it, which would have been wonderful, except now most of our board members are new. So we have to start over again. So with that said, I think we could go into it and have I could review the procedure with everybody. I have copies for you all.
Take a copy.
Yeah,
I didn't receive that information, so.
Excuse me?
She didn't
We
receive
did not receive that information.
No, you wouldn't have received it. The old board members got it.
I didn't
You
even
could have
see, I
emailed
didn't
it to
receive
us.
one either.
Yes, I'm going to give you and Jim one to share. And my new people down here get their own dedicated copy.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, what I actually did to make this thing up is I took something that was written by the previous director of the library, and I simply expanded on it in a few ways. So, if you'll bear with me, I will read through it. Kind of dry, but here we go. This is called the Open Meetings, Records, and Sunshine Act Policy. And I'm sorry, audience, but you're going to have to just listen because I don't have a copy for all of you. It says, in compliance with RSMO 610-101-610.200 of the Open Meetings and Records Law, commonly known as the Sunshine Law, the meetings, records, and votes of the Camden County Library District Board of Trustees, the board, are to be open to the public unless otherwise provided by law. The board may close a meeting, record, or vote only as allowed by the above referenced law as defined in this policy. And as an overview, it says the Camden County Library District is committed not only to the letter of the law, but to the spirit of openness in its activities. The spirit is to do everything possible to ensure that residents of the county are fully informed about the decisions of both the CCLD staff and the Board of Trustees. Okay. Meetings of the Board of Trustees. The body shall give notice of the time, date, place, and tentative agenda of each meeting in both print and digital form. In the past, the agenda would be published on the door of the library and put on the CCLD website. But as we all know, most of us don't go to the CCLD website every month, and most of us don't go to the library every month. Well, many of us don't. I'm on another board, and that board is going to have a meeting here at the library in March. And when I told the board that we were having it at the Camden County Library, those board members, many of whom are prominent citizens of Camden County, said, "Where is the Camden County Library?" So we have a big nut to crack as far as getting public awareness of our library system. So in addition to the print notice, which is defined in section 1A in this policy, it says a digital electronic notice shall be posted according to the same advance notice rules. Such notice includes posting to the CCLD website, social media pages, and a new addition, an electronic notice for which any county resident may subscribe and receive via email.
Bill, may I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
What are your social media pages?
Facebook page. We have a
Facebook.
Camden County Facebook
And
page.
Instagram. We have Instagram.
And X.
Page.
And X.
All the normal.
Okay, all the normal, okay, thank you. Just want to make sure everybody knew.
So we want to make it possible, and we kind of do this a little bit in the library system, for anybody to be able to go to the website and subscribe to a special newsletter that will be all about the Board of Trustees, our agendas and our minutes. And that way, everybody who subscribes will automatically get an email that notifies them that there's an upcoming meeting, and it'll tell them what the agenda is. And it allows people to get that notice without having to visit the library or look on the website. It's kind of like an automatic reminder. I kind of like automatic reminders because I have too many things to be reminded of. So the idea is to go above and beyond to let everybody have an automated way of knowing what's going on. And then it says also the minutes of open meetings will be distributed in the same manner. So again, the minutes of an open meeting will be posted on the door, posted on the website, go to social media, but also sent out through an email distribution so that anybody who subscribes can know what happened. We also continue to use the funny little owl here to make a video of our meetings, but we have to understand that a lot of people either don't have the patience to watch one of our meetings, because it takes a lot of patience, and they don't necessarily have the means, because a lot of people don't have the internet connectivity to be able to stream a meeting. So we're trying to be as inclusive as possible. That's the intent. Okay, it says each meeting shall be held at a place accessible for a reasonable number of attendees and at a time reasonably convenient to the public. So as you all know, we're having meetings at 9 a.m. on a Friday. So if you're a working person, you're probably not going to be here. So there's a lot of us who don't have anything else to do. and we are here. And some of you have jobs that are flexible enough that you're allowed to attend, even though it's normally a work hour. So we're doing our best. There's no perfect solution to that. But we want to be careful not to just hold the meeting in a cubby hole where we can't have a crowd of people show up. So we have this nice facility. This is a good way to do it. Over the next year, I think we have some of our meetings planned to go out to some of the branches. And the branches might be a little more space challenged as far as people attending, but at least their local people will have a better opportunity to attend, like in the outlying districts like Max Creek. Okay, it says in section meetings of the board may close meetings to the public as allowed by statute. Before closing a meeting to the public, a majority of the board must vote to do so in a public roll call vote. We actually scheduled some meetings over the last few months that were purely closed meetings. And technically, according to the law, that's a violation of the Sunshine Law. We did it for a good reason. We didn't do it to be deceptive, but it was not the right thing to do. So in the future, all meetings will begin as open meetings, and if we have to go into closed session, we'll vote as a board to go into closed session, and if you're attending, you'll know why we're going into closed session. Usually it's because it's a personnel matter that has to be kept confidential. Okay. The board shall allow for recording by audio tape, videotape, or other electronic means of any open meeting. So we are taping this meeting, and this says you could bring along a recording device and have your own recording if you'd like to. I know Janet sometimes brings a recording device because she's doing an article for the newspaper, so she needs to know more precisely what took place. Okay, then about closed meetings, it says all records that may be closed as allowed by statute are hereby deemed closed records unless the board votes to make them public. However, pursuant to statute, the decisions of the board in closed session should be made public within 72 hours of the meeting. Again, that's a provision of statute that almost every board violates. Closed session is not meant to keep things secret. It's meant to, it's a convenience so that you have to notify an employee or an applicant of something, that you can do so within that 72 hours, and after that time it becomes public knowledge. So we're going to strive to conform to the letter of the law there, but I added an exception. And the exception says, in the event that the board needs to withhold results of a closed meeting beyond the 72-hour limit prescribed by statute, a public notification must be released to explain the delay and propose the release of information at a specified future date. So what precipitated that is we have just gone through the process of hiring a new director of the library. And during that time, we were interviewing lots of people and having discussions with lots of people, and we didn't feel it was right to release that information before the discussions were completed and before we had somebody hired. And those discussions took probably 60 days, well beyond 72 hours. So,
Bill,
yeah.
we are starting to go a little long,
Okay.
and I'm sorry to interrupt. Where are we at on the? I don't have a copy in front of me. How far do we have to go through the document?
We're on page 2 of 806.
Come on now. Don't mind him.
I appreciate all your delivering, and because it will allow us to maybe vote on this today or decide to move it to the next meeting.
Okay.
So where are we at?
We're actually doing much better than we would think, because we're about to go into the email section. And the email section is mainly what I want to...
How long do you think you need?
Give me 10 minutes and then remind me where we're at.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know, I'm not really good at time management.
No, I am not either, ask my wife, but yeah, I am going to try to keep us to that 2 hours plus public comment.
Okay, let me summarize a little bit as we're going along, and I'll give you the high points, and you can trust me. I would not mislead you. Okay.
Thank you.
One of the things we want to accomplish is to be able to do some business via email. Without having a policy in place, if the board members emailed each other, it would be a violation of sunshine law, because as soon as there is a quorum, more than half of our board conversing, it's supposed to be done in a public way. In the past, we've kind of said, okay, we'll archive all of these emails, and if the public ever wanted to know, they could request it. However, since the public never knew there was an email conversation, the public would never know to request it. So that really isn't an adequate way of doing it. So what I've done here is I've differentiated between two kinds of emails. There are non-quorum emails. So if I send an email to Adam, then it's just a conversation between two people. It doesn't represent a meeting of the board, because it's not a quorum, it's not a majority. It's important that we not do that in a deceptive way. So even though it's a non-quorum email, it would be illegal if I emailed every board member individually in order to get a vote from them. Right. So it is kind of on the honor system, but I guess that's that's kind of the requirement of any kind of digital communication. You would never know, so we just you have to trust us to be honorable people. So non-quorum email means we can email each other one-on-one. It's like an individual conversation, and as long as we're not trying to draw to a conclusion, it's a perfectly okay thing. Then there's the matter of emails to a quorum, emails to everybody on the board. When that happens, some of those emails don't have to be recorded. So if Jim sends out an agenda to all of the board, he's not asking for a decision on anything. It's just a communication technique. It's like posting the board on the door or the agenda on the door. So that doesn't have to be a public conversation. However, as soon as there is any kind of discussion about decisions, that does have to be kept as a public record. And rather than just file it off into a mysterious email bucket somewhere that nobody would know about, we're calling for the person who originates the email on the board to be the kind of the lead person who will keep a record of the conversation, put it in a document, and then forward it to the person who takes care of those records, which is currently Vicki Brenneman over there. And that will become the public record, and it will get distributed along with the minutes of the meeting. So just like any open meeting, it will become part of the minutes that get distributed to everybody, so you know the gist of what was done.
I have a question.
You do.
Okay. Will that pertain to any vote or any discussion? I mean, is discussion allowed, or?
Discussion of a quorum becomes public record.
Right, so it would be considered a public meeting. We would have to
And so whoever
basically.
led that discussion, whoever started it off, is kind of appointed as the lead person who will summarize it and get that summary to you.
And then who gets it to the public?
That becomes part of the minutes. So the next time we have an open meeting, that will be included in the minutes, and it will get distributed to the public in the way that minutes are distributed.
Okay, those minutes could, that email conversation and/or vote
Yes.
would be, and go out as an attachment.
And it will be reviewed at the open meeting just as if it happened in the open meeting.
Right.
So
I would seriously caution against the vote.
Absolutely.
You want to share opinions, you want to add material that is substantive in those emails, that's great. No decisions, no votes.
Adam is absolutely right. We don't vote by email. So we bring the lead person will bring the conversation to an open meeting. It will be part of an open meeting agenda item, and that's when we get to vote on it.
Perfect.
So let me ask for a little clarification on this. So Adam sent out emails to, well, me, and I'm assuming everybody, with the, the laws, sunshine laws, several things that are,
just attachments.
Right. Now, because he sent that to everyone, is that something that then needs to be put into the public?
That was not discussing business.
Yeah, as long as it's just something that's a distribution of information without a discussion, then there's no need for it to be public record.
Like the stuff I send you, the board members prior to the meeting, that's all available at the meeting. That is not business, that is just informational materials.
We are all feeling our way, Jay.
Okay.
But we're all trying to hold each other accountable to do the right thing.
Yeah, we had some emails going on of not understanding parts of, Mary Pat wasn't seeing some of the financial stuff.
Yep.
So is that something that the public?
Well, I assume if Mary Pat, what should have happened is if somebody was left out on part of the distribution, they should have just emailed individually to the person who distributed it.
Okay.
And then it would be a non-quorum email and not part of the public record. She might have, not knowing the rules, because she's new, might have sent it to the whole board. So that's one of the kinds of things we're trying to fix, is not making extraneous things become public record when there's really no reason for it and no good way to distribute it to the public.
Yeah, because her question of unable to access the January 12th board minute meetings.
That's just a technical issue.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't need to be part of the board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Bill, have you gone through the entire document?
I have summarized the last part because you were bothering me about being quick.
Yes, I am. Yes, sir. Respectfully, please.
Yes, right. And I meant that respectfully.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much through it. I think you got the idea of it. I did add on the back page kind of a little summary of what I went through with I guess one thing I left out is we're trying to do our email conversations in a single stream manner. And what I mean by that is when we first started using email, we did like 5 topics at once, and it got very confusing. And so we're going to decide now that when we do start an email conversation, there's going to be a lead person for that email. We're going to see it through to its conclusion, whatever that is, before we start another topic. And
I will, with that said, I will go back to that one slide that I brought up about emails. I would beg you that when you, regarding when you're addressing the board at least, when you open your email to see something, the first thing you do is review the subject line and you write your subject line and then proceed. Please get in that habit. It will make us function so smoothly, and that, so that's it. I will stop.
okay.
I have a question, please.
Yes.
I'm looking down, it looks like C4. The lead is responsible for these things. I need clarification on C4-2. Because in the discussion, it's really not productive to reply to individuals. Shouldn't it be kept as a group discussion?
No. What I did with the with this document, back with the board that used to be, is I would first send it out to Adam. Well, not particular. I'd send that out to one person, whoever that person might be, and I happened to choose Adam first. So I sent it out to Adam. I got all of his input. We kind of communicated back and forth to make sure I understood his input, make sure that I addressed his input properly, and then we stopped. And then I took the document and sent it to Denise. And Denise and I went through the same process. We did it individually. And it was just so that each board member understood what I was proposing. Because we weren't making a vote. We were just trying to come to an understanding. So the way we should do these email exchanges when we have a policy is we'll send it to one board member at a time, make sure we understand one another, and then move on to the next board member individually. We're not sending it to the whole group. Because what happened when we tried sending it to the whole group is the originator got bombarded with 4 different opinions from 4 different directions, and it got very hard to manage. Especially when a lot of the opinions expressed were simply because they didn't understand what was intended. So we tried to figure it out one by one.
So just to clarify then, when you do send it out individually, like you talk to Adam and maybe you talk to Jay, do I get to see, if it gets to me, do I see all of the discussions?
No. You get to have your input independent of theirs. Now at the very end, when we come to the open meeting, then I'll bring a document with me that lets you see all of the discussion, and it becomes part of the decision-making process.
But doesn't that kind of counteract, because I'd kind of like to know what you say and everybody else says, rather than just what the lead person says.
Yeah. What happened to us in meeting, and we're just trying to address a practical problem, is somebody would say something by email, and it was the whole board talking. And that email was what I would call a non sequitur. It had nothing to do with the policy. And then it started a side discussion about that other email, which had nothing to do with the policy. And then you have a string of 10 of them that had nothing to do with the policy. So we found that it was much cleaner to do it one person at a time, because I'll give you an example. When I wrote to Adam, he wrote, for items 1A and B, should we mandate one form of public broadcasting as such as TV or radio, which would include reading of the agenda. And so Adam and I had a little talk about that, about if we wanted to pick a radio station to publish our agenda, who would we pick and how would the others feel left out? And would a radio station want to announce our agenda? Because it's kind of like not really entertaining stuff. And we decided to forget about that. Now, if it had gone out to as an email to the whole board, we might have 4 different members all having an opinion about selecting a radio station. Well, like I prefer KRMS, or I prefer Key Radio, or whatever. And it just got to be very unproductive to have the whole board participate.
I can understand your reasoning on that,
Yeah.
but I ask a lot of questions, so forgive me.
You're forgiven.
But in doing that, you might, if it were sent out to everyone, then I may have a question that you've already answered, or someone has already discussed. And it just seems like that is more above board than an individual response.
Yeah.
Couldn't that be construed as, and I've got the thing, as not meaning the spirit is not there, but hiding the fact that we're having a quorum? And that would be against the law.
Right. And that's why we come back in open meeting with a document. If you look at the very last page of the document I gave you, it is actually, it's on the back of the last page. Yeah, that one that has blue ink and black ink and red ink. So I actually went through and put Adam in blue and me in black and Denise in red to show exactly what the conversation was about. I understand your point of view completely, and I agree with it. It's just that in practice, it didn't seem to help, because you have to remember that emails kind of pass in the night. So Adam might be writing a comment at the same time that another member is writing a comment. They might be the same comment, and they just kind of bypass one another because of the timing of email. And they do end up ultimately in the conversation stream, I guess, but kind of out of sync with one another.
Well, could I make a suggestion?
Sure, of course you could.
To go along with the spirit, once you've had this discussion and you kind of have, like this packet here, you've got it figured out, can't it be sent out to all of the members so that we have a chance to look at it and read it?
And that's what we did. However, we had one board member who's no longer here who, well, I don't want to really get into that. But basically what would have happened here and what has happened here is this is the summary of that conversation.
Right. And I appreciate that. It's good, but I would, we have everything else. It would have been nice, just for my part, to be prepared and know what we were talking about before we got here.
Yeah. And again, I apologize because at the time this was created, we didn't know you'd be here.
Exactly.
So
But
we
I mean, for future reference or whatever is, I guess, is what I'm.
We're hoping we're hoping to continue this board for a while, so that all of it would have made better sense. Because I agree, I'm springing this on you at the last minute, and that's why we're kind of having a discussion about whether we should delay this until next time.
Okay.
But it means we can't do it.
I would like to interject at this point. We are coming up on the where we are going into the balance of the time that the public used. So we were in a meeting where nobody spoke. We'd be running out of time. So what I want to ask, what I want to do at this point, I would, just as a participant, I would recommend that we move this to unfinished business, and that we give. I don't know that the board is ready to vote on this. And I move that we move it to unfinished business, and that we would all take a 5-minute break, and then come back and use the balance of time to proceed through the agenda.
How much time do you think we have, Adam, when we come back?
I'm going to give us a half hour.
Okay.
What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on that? well, a half hour, and we've got a lot left on the agenda, and when we come back, I'm going to recommend that we move a portion of a large portion of new business to unfinished business, so that we can progress through it in subsequent meetings. Again, I want to respect everybody's time and the rest of their day. Or we can choose to go ahead and work down through these agenda items and be in for the long haul, but I want to give you all that choice. I don't want to just hold everybody hostage here and get through this. We've got a big agenda, and we took on a lot, getting people introduced, getting everybody on the same page with what's on the agenda. So what I'd like to do right now is take a break. We come back and we'll decide whether we're going to end the meeting with the balance of a half hour, move the rest to unfinished business, or if we're going to stay in for the long haul. So I'm going to go ahead and ask us to take a 5-minute break.
Adam, do you need a motion to move the open meeting and sunshine policy to unfinished business?
Let's do that after the break.
I don't know that we need a motion for that. I mean,
It's a good idea.
And I would ask you that we don't discuss anything during the break.
Okay.
Just discuss, keep it on topic.
Let me just say, can I just say one thing?
We usually try.
I really apologize for not being there, or I don't know, maybe it's better. I don't know. I apologize for I'm maybe a little too rigid right now, but we've got to respect everybody's time. I'm very conscious of that. Okay, so right now let's get back to, do we want to vote on the sunshine policy, or would the new members prefer to do some reading on that and vote on that, keep this in unfinished business?
I would like to keep it in unfinished business.
I agree with that. I think there's things we need to discuss further and investigate a little further.
Okay, I would encourage us, this has been on the table for a long time, and I would encourage us to all do our homework so that maybe we can vote on this next time, or have and use email to get any ideas to him, substantive changes, recommendations, and then we will come back and hopefully vote on this, because it has been on the table for a while. So
yeah, I'd just like to
let me get back to
Adam.
Yes.
I'd just like to clarify that I agree that we should delay this, but it means that we shouldn't. Our current policy is that we don't use email for the most part.
Yes, okay, so then, give me a second.
I think the current policy would allow us to
I think the current policy allows us to send information by email to everyone.
Yes, we can email it to people, but we can't have conversations by email.
The conversations will have to be had at the meeting, but if everybody has the material, the conversation will be shorter. So
I also have a question for clarification. What if, at one point you wanted to go look at the building with the radio tower and all that other stuff?
Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there.
All right.
We'll get to that. All right, is it specifically about the building, or?
Well, no, it's specifically about that type of an example. What if we put out in a meeting like today saying Saturday, the whatever day it is, at 10:30 a.m., we want to meet here to look at the property. Therefore, we're not hiding the fact we're going to be there. If someone wanted to show up, they could. We're not going there to make any decisions. We're just going up there to evaluate.
He's basically saying we're going to call a public meeting to go there, and that.
Yeah. And that would be a special meeting that we would we would call and make it public, correct?
Right.
Or you can go on your own, or Jim can take you up
I
there.
can take it. Yeah.
Take you up and then take you two up. Or you can go by yourself and go into the Osage Beach Library and ask the branch manager there. She has the key.
Okay. Yeah, but that's just an example.
Yeah, it is a good example.
Yeah. You know, because Sunshine Law says that if
So
three people show up.
we're all of the mind that we are not prepared to vote on this, and so we'll move this to old business. Do we take it, or I mean, we move this to keep this in unfinished business? Do we have to vote on that?
Yes, may as well. Mary Pat made a motion.
I second.
Jay second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just to keep it.
Okay. All right, we have, let me see here. All right, so open meetings record, we got through that. I did give everybody a brief overview on the radio building, and basically I'm just gonna run over the top of that. I think we can safely keep it, just keep it in unfinished business and hold it over till the next meeting. I did give you all a brief description of the building, and basically we've got to get all the options on the table, develop it, scrape it, sell it. Those are some of the concepts, and so we need to go through all the options that are on the table for us. Some history that Jim has uncovered, and that is quite an endeavor in itself. And I would ask that we keep that in unfinished business and move along. What do you all think about that?
Yes. I would motion or say, yeah, I would agree that, I don't know how to say it, but yes, I agree with that.
To defer?
Yes. Because I kind of agree with Jay. I would like to have more understanding of that, because to me, if we all go up separately and we have a conversation with someone else, or maybe not at all if we're just going to go look, that's really not educational, and it would be much better and much more effective to be able to go as a public entity with all of the men. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff, and I'll say I don't. I would probably defer to those that do.
And another option or suggestion is Dave Pierce, our maintenance guy, is very knowledgeable about the building and would be more than happy to meet anyone up there, let you in, walk through it, and discuss it with you.
And if I could add one final piece here, and then we can move forward, is that the reason why we need to go ahead and delay this is that some new issues and options have come up for this, and me and my staff will be working on giving you some clear options as to, things that we can or cannot do, including prices.
Outstanding. That is, we so badly need that.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to ask you all. We have a lot of stuff we could safely move to unfinished business. It's very well recorded in the minutes, and I know that you would be reluctant to do that maybe, but we have to set a precedence in how we handle things, and I think we can safely. We've addressed everything that needs to be addressed right now, and we could safely move a lot of this to unfinished business and pick it up next meeting. Or if you guys are in for the long haul, I am more than happy to keep facilitating and keep going. So I'm going to ask y'all, do we go for a half hour or do we stay the day?
I definitely need to have a motion about the authorized signers, getting everybody on all the bank accounts.
Yes, I am talking, so let me be more specific.
I think I have an opinion, Adam.
Okay, go ahead, yes, please.
Several people in the audience were defending the MLA and ALA, and since the audience is all gone now, it seems like it might not be appropriate for us to vote on some of the changes to bylaws and policies that kind of remove those references. So maybe that should be held over for a future public meeting.
Okay, yes, and these are clear cut, and I really appreciate the way they're presented, and I think I agree with you totally. And so, the heading of everything is, and so this policy and bylaws for review and proposal, I want to keep this as a recurring, just like treasurer's report. This needs to be a recurring heading on this agenda, and if it's blank, that's fine, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. If anybody's familiar with the Golden Gate Bridge, when they paint that thing, they start at one end, and by the time they're at the other, they have to start over again. And that's the way these policies and bylaws should be kept in our eyes, so that they're kept up to date, and so they reflect. They reflect what the laws are, what input is from the public, and what the board and administration director and the folks under him want these to be. They should, you know, at some point, and it might just be reviewed, and we say, okay, anyway, I'm not going to belabor that, I'm sorry. For this meeting, considering the depth of it, the breadth of it, I should say, everything presently under policies and bylaws for review will be, let me see, hang on, give me a minute, I'm sorry. Will be moved to unfinished business. And do we need to take a vote on that, make a motion?
It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I motion that we move everything under the heading policy and bylaws presently to unfinished business.
You can call for the
And we take that
motion.
on in the next meeting.
Adam, I'll let you call for the motion, but I will make the motion that, that we move all of that policy and bylaws for review and proposal A, and then 1 and 2, and then everything under B, proposal revision to bylaws to the March meeting.
Yes.
All in favor?
Need a second?
Second.
No, I'll second that.
You can. You can.
Somebody else has to second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, doing all the ALA, all the policies and revisions, and we will keep that policy, the proposal, the revision to bylaws as a reoccurring agenda item. Okay.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, please.
And someone who had to keep very large policies and procedure manuals, how we had them marked would be when they were enacted, we had a date. When they were reviewed, they had a date, and when they were yes, then there was a date, so that you have some kind of reference. Because I was looking at those, and I don't know how long some of them have been in.
Yes, and that was something that we did not continue, and we should have done so. And the reason being is all those policies are new.
Okay.
A great deal of them are new. And I couldn't even say that really they were what was revised. I wouldn't consider revised, they were changed so much. So I was able to go back and put all the adopted policy dates on there. But I agree, that's a great idea to continue to do that.
That way we know which ones are outdated and which really need them. So.
And with 6 libraries, it's important that they all have the latest revision.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. So Vicki, we have a procedure already somewhere in policy to review policy. Was that what you were saying?
No, we do not.
So you just used to do it?
Well, a lot of the policies that are now policies are new, so there was never any revision on those.
Okay.
But we are going to, as a procedure, as me doing it, we'll make sure that the revised dates are on all of the policies as we revise them.
I think we can do that as just simply as an
The
operations
procedure, yeah.
procedure.
Nope.
I'll handle it at our level.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay?
okay. So, yeah, something, I want us to keep our eyes on policy. I mean, is anybody opposed to that? This heading that I've put here and encouraged us to do, does anybody have any issue with that? Is that counterproductive? Are we gonna start overthinking things?
No, I don't think so. Especially with the new board.
All right.
It's gonna be.
We're good.
Good, all right. All right, let's see, where are we?
I kind of there's these, few items were on the agenda twice, so I guess I didn't go back and check that very well. I do know that, like I said, under new business, we do need to authorize signers resolution. I need somebody to make a motion to do that.
That's here, we're getting there. Okay, election of officers. So up in the part of policies and procedure, I had, one of the things that I was going to propose is that we split treasurer and secretary, so that there are two separate offices, and that we elect them. And then for myself, that as far as what I'm doing right now, I'm vice president, and I have just an item there that we will decide that in the April meeting. We'll decide, we'll see the president. I'm functioning right now with what I understand and from previous board operations, and I want to keep us moving and productive. So this month and next month, I'll do that, but I want you folks to see the president.
I guess
so. How do we handle this? We have election of officers. Does that move to unfinished business?
I kind of suggest this, I'm not sure if this is a motion or a suggestion, but I guess what I'm used to is when a vice president serves in the absence of a president, and it makes sense to me that in terms of continuity, we just ask Adam to serve as president through the remainder of the vacant term that was left by the president resigning, rather than try to elect somebody brand new to be president. I don't know how people feel about that. I'm speaking as, I know what happened with the board that started in August. They all immediately started voting for people for offices, and they didn't know each other. So it was a very awkward, unproductive thing to do.
Well, and there's a reason that was done.
Yeah.
The election of officers usually happens in July. But since the board knew that there was going to be some turnover, they decided there was no need to hold the election of officers in July because the majority of the board, or at least two people, were going to be gone.
Yeah.
So they wanted to give the new members, new members the opportunity to hold the election, so it was moved to the August meeting. So it probably would be a good idea to get back to the July meeting. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so the treasurer and secretary positions, I feel together is cumbersome. We could go back to that item now and decide it, to split that or not split it, and take a vote on that, and that would be a change to policy or bylaws. I don't remember if it's bylaws.
Yes.
Or we can move this item to the next, to unfinished business, and let everybody consider what they want to do with the situation. As far as what Bill said, I'm available. I want you to be confident, and I hope I didn't drive you all nuts. But just to put it in layman's terms. Anyway, okay, so. Treasurer and secretary, do we want to go back to that unfinished item and decide that one? And so that we can move ahead with a secretary and treasurer? Are we ready to vote on a secretary and treasurer?
I don't think we'll be ready next time.
If I could throw 2 cents worth in.
Please.
With the issues with sunshine law, maybe it would be easier to separate them. Because if you have somebody wearing two hats, now all of a sudden, you know, that puts double the burden on them and dealing with everybody. But that's, you know, I'm just the director.
Does the treasurer have to sign for checks over a certain amount? Is that a rule?
Yes, the director has the authority to sign checks up to $20,000.
And then the treasurer has to co-sign?
Actually, any board member can sign, it doesn't have to be the treasurer.
Oh, so there's nothing special about not having a treasurer?
No, and there's nothing special about having a treasurer.
Do you want to, okay, do we go back to that item? Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do, is do we want to go back to that item and split that now? Do we not want to split it? Do we want to think about it? What do you want to do?
Do you have the definitions or the responsibilities for every office?
That's in bylaws
Okay.
and policies and, is that bylaws and policies?
It's in the
Vicki? I'm sorry.
bylaws, yes.
It's in there, it is in there, it
Yes.
is there.
It's probably fairly vague in the bylaws, I would think.
I don't know.
I believe it's in bylaws, yes,
It tells
yes.
it.
Did you email out the bylaws, Adam?
No,
I'm sorry?
Did you email the bylaws and all the?
I did. I emailed, I believe that was links. I sent you a link, one of the emails I sent you was links and,
Yes.
there were links to the bylaws and, yes, and policies.
And if you want that in a Word or PDF format, I can get them now too.
From an operational standpoint, I think my thoughts would be it would be easier if, like Vicki in dealing with the budget items, et cetera, would have one person to contact. You know, if we can divide and conquer. I mean, again, you have people with so many hats, I don't know that we wouldn't be confusing the matter. In other words, when they contact somebody that's also the secretary, is this a secretary issue or is this a treasurer issue? And then there you go again, you're wrapped around the axle again. So that's just my thought with having heard what Bill here said about the sunshine and all of that.
I agree. I think that not having read all of the bylaws yet, I've looked at them, I don't remember them. I see that as long as, you know, a position shouldn't be a burden on somebody, so I think a separation of the two would be a good idea or a good thought.
Would you like to make a motion to that effect?
Go ahead.
I would make a motion then that we would separate the two jobs.
I would second.
All right, I'm gonna move back up on the agenda. We're gonna go back on the agenda and it will be revision of bylaws and heading policy bylaws review.
Yeah, and I can't get that to load on here. I do remember scanning it briefly.
It defines this position.
There we go. It's, I'm sorry, proposal revision to bylaws. It's, item, it's, B3 under H1 policies and bylaws. We're back to, B3 on the agenda. H1B3 on the agenda. And we're going to go ahead and so with that item, I propose that we split the secretary and treasurer duties, and that we go ahead and restructure the bylaws to reflect that. Can we take a vote on that now and then proceed with adjusting those bylaws?
Did somebody second that motion?
Jay did.
Jay did? Okay.
I think I did, but.
Sorry, Jay, missed that. Okay.
Okay, so we're voting to split that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, right now the
Aye.
bylaw is called the secretary treasurer as one person. And
Yes.
Bill and I were just kind of looking at this, it's pretty vague.
It's mostly about the treasurer responsibility. It doesn't say what the secretary part of it does.
So do we have to, okay, so do we have to rewrite that bylaw, or can we go ahead and proceed? So that's what I'm trying to, do we have to get that wording and that bylaw done before we can proceed to elect a secretary and treasurer?
You might have to, yes, probably that would be a good idea.
Okay?
No,
So,
to include the duties.
Right.
And that would be up to you.
So then we have voted to go ahead and separate it.
Right.
Now we're going to have to, what I'd like to do is appoint a committee of 2 people to create that wording, or if one person is willing to hand that, bring it to the board, and then we, what I would encourage is that 1 or 2 people develop that bylaw to reflect a secretary and a treasurer, that we have 1 round of suggestions to adjust what that person or people have created, and then we put it into bylaw. What do you all think of that?
So just want to make it clear, what you're suggesting is a committee of a couple of people to apportion the duties of each position.
Yes, and to create and to edit that bylaw to reflect a secretary and a treasurer and their duties, and then to bring that to the board, and it will either take a vote on to accept it or take 1 round of input to any changes, suggestions. Let the committee change any wording and leave it to them, I think. Leave it to that committee to accept or reject any input, and then we vote on it. And we put it into the bylaws that we haven't put in.
Do we need a motion?
Just form a committee.
I guess we just need to add a bunch to form a committee.
Do we need a motion to appoint a committee and vote and all that?
No.
Yeah, just go ahead and form the committee, and whoever wants to be on that, we'll make sure that gets done. So,
I volunteer to be on that committee.
Is anybody, I need 2 people. First hands, you're it.
Becky's volunteered.
I'll go for it.
All right.
Sure, why not?
Thanks.
Right.
I'm gonna pick
and I
her.
think you folks can safely work between you 2 in email to formulate, because it's not a quorum. If you want to include Vicky on that email, you're welcome to. But you guys formulate that bylaw, bring it to us. We will go through 1 round of input, and then we're going to submit it into the books. Is everybody good with that?
State statute doesn't even call for a
I do
secretary.
have a question. Do I need to go back and amend my previous motion that all of these be deferred to the March meeting? And maybe I need to go back and amend my motion to say all are deferred under policy and bylaw for review and proposal, except for B3.
Right, except under B3. Okay.
Well, is B3 done until, is B3 done, or is B3 still?
It's still open.
Still
You know
waiting
what?
to print that bylaw
That is
written
correct.
up?
It is open.
That's correct, so we're all right, because that'd be still unfinished.
That's
business.
all right.
Thank you for
Yeah.
clarification. Thank you.
Okay, all right, moving along smartly. How are we doing here? Wow, we have used up all of our time. Give me a second.
You might have to stop for happy hour.
So, election of officers, I would motion, we have sufficiently discussed this. I would like to make a motion that we move election of officers to unfinished business. I know that doesn't feel right, but we are going to systematically work this stuff out. And that's what I'm hoping we can do. We can process some of it, move it, and we keep moving it. We got rid of something today that worked. So I move that we move election of officers to unfinished business. We have our homework to do, and we'll pick it up next meeting. So that's a motion I am making.
You can call for a motion, you can't make the motion, somebody else.
Call for a motion. I want to call for a motion on that, yes. Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
I'm gonna need a lot of help with that.
You're fine.
We put it on to unfinished business.
I'll second.
Can I also say that I really appreciate yours and Bill's patience? I really feel that this next meeting will be very productive.
You guys are doing great.
Yeah, awesome.
All in favor?
Good, I think we're killing it. I love it. Anyway, so let's go to 3.
All in favor?
Authorized signers resolution. Vicki, will you elaborate on that? And then if somebody on that, or please prefer elaboration, make a motion as to what to do next.
Okay, we need to vote on the Becky's motion and Mary Pat's second to move the election of officers to unfinished business.
Aye.
Okay.
Bill? Joan?
Aye.
Okay. All right. I need someone to make a motion to add all board members and Jim as authorized signers on both our bank accounts at Oak Star and at Central Bank. If someone can do that, then we can get everybody on our bank accounts.
I will make the motion as stated by Karen. By Vicki, I'm sorry. Make the motion as stated by Vicki.
We get a second.
You can second it, Adam, or Max Headroom.
Yeah. Easy.
Well, all we see, Adam, is,
okay.
you know, here
I will, yeah, I can fall out of character and I don't need to right now. Okay, so I'll second that. And can we take a vote? Call for a vote.
Aye.
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 He's going to put second in there. Okay.
Okay, Vicki, tag your red.
I think we're down to certificates of deposits. We have.
Oh, no, so, I'm sorry. Did we, hang on.
3 was the authorized signers resolution.
Yeah, we're done with that, right?
Yeah.
That's done.
So we're on 4 now.
Yes, certificate of deposit.
Okay. We have some money that we need to, and let me back up. We have a $500,000 certificate of deposit that will be coming due, mature on May 3rd. And we also have a $500,000 certificate at Central Bank that will be maturing on March the 6th. Right now, we have a lot of money in the bank. We need to move some funds. We need to open up some certificates of deposit. I would like to go ahead and put another $1 million into certificates of deposit. I would like to break them up. I don't know why, I just would. There's no, instead of doing 1 million, I would like to do 2 for 500,000. I'm thinking a year. The rates are not going to go up. In fact, they're probably going to be going down. The Fed meets again March the 20th. We're going to have this other certificate coming due on 3/6 before the Fed meets, so we can reinvest that at the rate before they're going to drop it, because I believe they will start coming down. So
I think it's a wise idea to split both of them, because if you would ever need that money, then if you had to pull it out early, you wouldn't have to pay the percentage on
the whole thing.
The whole amount.
I would actually propose breaking it into 4 of 250.
Okay. 4 $250,000 CDs.
That sounds good.
And that is a good idea.
Well, one of the reasons for that also is most banks will only insure up to 250,000.
Right, but most banks do what they call CDARs, which they transfer the money to other banks in increments of $250,000 so that they don't have to pledge securities.
Right.
So this is a good way to get around that too. Now, I have 2 rates for a year. From April date at Oak Star, the rate is 4.99, and at Central Bank, it's 5.05. There's not a lot of difference. I don't know if you want to put maybe 2 at Central, 2 at Oak Star.
Do you know the rate at Sullivan Bank is now I'm thinking 5.1 maybe. It's higher at Sullivan Bank and Sunrise Beach.
I did not know. Well, will they do public funds?
That you'd have to check. I don't know. You might check those. They seem to, First Bank and Sullivan Bank tend to be the ones with the better rates for CDs that I've found.
Okay. So do we want to wait until the next meeting to do anything with this?
Well, you have 10 days after your certificate is up for renewal to be able to renew that, if I remember correctly. So that would take us to the 16th, and our meeting is
It is the 16th.
The 16th.
It's the 15th, actually, but that would be okay. But that just takes care of the money that is, the $500,000 that's coming due in March. Right now, we do have $1 million that we probably need to get out of our money market account so we can earn some more interest. If we don't want to, if you think that we need to check with Sullivan Bank before we do that,
I would just check their rates because I know that they're higher than 5.05.
okay, how about we make a motion to do this? That we would break this $1 million into 4 $250,000 CDs at the bank with the highest rate for a 1-year term. Will that work?
It works for me. I do have a question, though, and it's kind of going back to our expenditures and the new building. I'm not a numbers person, so please, I have to defer most of the time and ask a lot of questions, but if there is, do we have money available to work on a building or do something without dipping in? Because isn't there a penalty if you take a...
Early withdrawal,
Yeah.
Yes, that will still leave us $1 million in our money market.
Okay, I just want
We have right now, in all forms of, I'm going to call it cash, whether it's operating account, money market account, CDs, we have right at a little over $3 million. So yes, we do have the money.
Okay.
So Vicki, how flexible are we for where we can put these into, like the CD?
Well, a lot of banks won't want to do public funds. So it just depends on if they want to do the public funds. At $250,000, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, but some banks prefer not to.
Well, I am a member of the one and only credit union in the area here, and I just looked, their 8-month CD is 5.08.
And
that's almost 1% higher than Oaks are.
Sure, and which...
and $1 million, that's a lot of money.
It is. What?
Infused Credit Union. They're in Osage.
I will call and see what their rates are.
Okay.
And if they will do public funds.
Because we do have to make sure we're compliant with these state regulations.
Okay, then we'll put that on for the next meeting too, if that's okay with everyone? Okay. And I'm sorry, I don't get more information.
I should know this, I don't. We need to make sure that same $250,000 limit FDIC insured and whatnot with the credit union is in place.
Yes, they are federally insured.
Okay. All right. All right, so where are we with that? Are we waiting to, are we moving that to unfinished business?
Yes, I'll get some more information and we'll just defer the agenda item.
Okay.
I guess we need another, I don't know.
Just for fun, I'll make a motion.
Thank you. These minutes are going to be crazy.
Okay, I'll second it.
Yes, they are. It's going to seem crazy, but it's not. I can tell from past minutes, yes, minutes are gonna be crazy. I thought you were saying agenda, I'm sorry, go ahead, yes, minutes will be voluminous.
But this will be their first meeting, so it gets much easier from here.
You guys are doing great.
Yes, yes.
You're doing very good.
Yes.
And the agenda probably hasn't looked like this for a while, and it's a healthy agenda. It's going to be, we're going to work through this. We're going to put one foot in front of the other. We're going to process this stuff. Don't be afraid. I want to say, don't be afraid of unfinished business.
And I apologize because I didn't catch it. There are a couple items that are on here twice. I apologize. I didn't even see that. When I got it back from you, I just went and published it. I didn't see that they were on there. Twice. Do better next time.
Okay, so are we done with the certificate of deposit?
Yes.
So am I reading this last one, the review of minutes for acceptance and release within 48 hours?
I'm sorry, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Director has the floor. Are we done with certificate of deposit?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, let's move. Director has the floor now to elaborate on any other news or comments that he would like to make.
I'll make it real quick, and this is for the benefit of the board and the public. You know, I've only been here a month, but I thought I'd give you a heads up where I'm at. I have worked with the staff to establish an org chart that includes employee names and the current reporting structure, and we can get copies of that to the board as well if they'd like. All the books now go through me before they're purchased. Think of it like when you go shopping at Amazon, you have a cart, and then that cart goes, you know, that's where it gets approved, what you're purchasing. It has to come through me. The carts all come to me first. I check all the books. So, you know, if we run down this rabbit hole again, you can come get me, all right? I did hold an all-hands-on-deck meeting for the first time, which was pretty fascinating to have everybody from all the library facilities in one place. I think it'd been a while since they've done that, and it went very well. Got to meet them all, pretty well just set a 10,000-foot direction for them as to where I'm headed and gave them a background about me. I have several ideas for promoting the libraries, which I heard several people say, how do we get them in here? I've got some really good ideas, and I hopefully will be bringing a proposal to you at the next meeting as to how I plan on doing that. Just for your information, excuse me, we have a huge volume of books in and books out. It's beyond comprehension. Most people think a library is just, you know, some little lady sitting there knitting when waiting for somebody to come in and get a book. That's not the case. This place is amazing. And when you start taking into consideration all the books that come in through Evergreen, being distributed from different libraries to, you know, different branches, it is a well-oiled machine. It's running very well. The library is not broken. I'm going to say that again. The library is not broken. All right? Can it be tuned up a little? You bet, and we're going to do that. But I want everybody to know it is a huge operation. We do tons of things here besides handing somebody a book. And there's some packets here for the members of the board that gives you just a sampling of the things that happen. Every day I come in here and I'm thinking, what's this? And sure enough, it's another great program. We have outreach to seniors. We have just so many different programs that it is just wonderful. It's amazing. And what we need to do as a board, and what I need to do, is to promote all these great things that the libraries are doing, and that's every one of them. And I'm proud of the people that are working here and the things that they're doing. That's all I've got for now.
All right, I would like to just add a brief statement to that. Between the Pages is an ideal publication. Whoever put that together, it's awesome. And I would encourage that the board members, and I wish the rest of the public folks were there. It's a great piece of information to keep our faces in and to pick some stuff off that, look at it, let it create questions in your head, show up to some of the events, some of the book readings, and pay attention to what's going on. I am gonna make a big fat excuse. When I get done, as soon as I'm done with this, I got another day here, I'm home putting a clutch in my truck, and then I'm going to be much more available to get around to libraries and to attend events, and that's what I plan to do. So I just want to encourage everybody that Between the Pages is a phenomenal tool, and let's use it.
Thank you. We probably have some books here that can help you with that pledge project.
Yeah.
He probably already has them.
Let's see, okay. So was it Rebecca that had a question about, we finished, so we're done with director has the floor. Do I make a motion to move to the next item, or we just move to it?
Just move to it.
Okay, I believe it was Rebecca, or was it a doctor that had a comment about review of minutes?
That was me, you're right.
Okay.
So someone has to type up all these minutes because since we've already decided that we want them more itemized. Is 48 hours?
Well, we need to decide too what we want in the minutes. I mean, minutes are supposed to be taken as to action, not discussion.
Right.
So if we want more discussion in the minutes, that's going to be up to the board, but that's the way they are concise. They are supposed to be taken to action, not discussion.
That makes sense. Although now the people out there may be looking for information in the minutes.
I think that's why we have the video for them to to watch that. That is always going to give them more information than the minutes will.
Although I have not been diagnosed, but I do have a hearing issue, and I watch those videos and it's like talking, I hear it in a tunnel.
Some of them, I've turned the gain up on them. We've got a different microphone that we're using. This one should be a little bit better. The gain's already turned up on it. As a matter of fact, I'm probably overpowering it right now. So hopefully that should not be an issue, but that's what happened is some of the previous board members were more soft-spoken, and so I had to turn that gain up, and when that gain got turned up on that audio channel, it created that tunnel effect. So.
And can I ask one more question, and then I'll be quiet?
Please. Yes, I'm going to ask for some input in a minute here. Please go ahead.
I had a couple of questions regarding a couple of things as far as the library certification requirement and protection, what we were talking about, the pornography, and I really appreciated your statements that you made. I think that, I don't know, when do you want me to make the comment? I had a couple of things I thought we could expound on a little bit.
Sure.
Can you make a really good note of that so that nothing's lost, and when we come back to unfinished business next meeting, you can do that?
I have it highlighted and ready to go. So, I'll be ready.
You broke up and I didn't understand what you said. Please say that again.
I have the notes that I wanted to add or talk about highlighted and ready to go, so it can wait till next month.
Good, thank you. Do not lose those, but we need to move forward. We want to stay on these review of minutes and acceptance. So J and J1, I just had to get it onto the agenda. It's not well thought through. So I need to run through you folks and think myself, how are we going to do that? Is it possible to have the minutes published, unapproved, and then maybe people make comments online, or the board comes, since now they've had a chance to go through the minutes, they come back to you somehow, and then you create minutes that we actually vote on the next meeting to be approved to go down in history.
Well, I don't think that we would take the public's
What do you
comments.
think?
I don't think we would take the public's comments in our minutes. Our minutes are our board minutes.
Right.
So the public's
Okay.
comments will not be included in our minutes. However,
Good.
if Coley
Okay, good.
if we are going to create a mailer,
Which we can do. All I have to do is add a simple checkbox to our standing subscription to our e-newsletters now. It just says, I would like to receive information about the CCLD Board of Trustees. And it would, have them know that it will include those minutes, agenda items, and all that. Because we can send all that out in one email. We can send the link to the video once we have it rendered and uploaded to YouTube. And have all those links go back to the webpage as well, where they can find them on our website.
and
It's
can
real
they
easy.
make will they be able to make comments there or on the website?
They can make comments through there. I'm the one that has my name on that, so I would get those comments, but I will pass them on to everybody as they come in. Normally, in the average daily business of me doing their e-newsletters, I have gotten 2 in, I don't know how many years I've been doing them, so.
Well, that may change.
And that may change, but we can do it that way. If they have a comment, they can do it that way. The only other way we can do it on our website is if we put it as a blog post and open up the comments on that. Then I have to go through and approve those and to keep out the stuff that is not sensical.
So
If that makes sense.
So we could put the unapproved minutes up within 48 hours through your mailer light.
We can do it through MailerLite. For those that are interested in seeing them that way, we can put it up on the website. Once they're approved, I can say these have been approved on our minutes web page that we have now. We put them up first, we say unapproved.
And
Once they're approved, then we can move them to approved.
So they will always have approved or unapproved minutes on this website at all times.
Yes,
So they will just move them as they're approved the following month in the meeting.
yes, we can do that.
So you look underneath where it says the library and then Board of Trustees and then meeting minutes. There's nothing yet for 2024.
Right, because those minutes were approved today for January.
So we're looking in the future, you can put approved on also.
Right,
Okay,
Yes,
Thank you for the clarification.
If you make the decision to do that, then, within the next, when you say within the next 48 hours, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to give me 48 hours Monday and Tuesday.
Right.
To get these up, but then they would go up unapproved or go up on their website and go out in the
MailerLite.
MailerLite.
And as soon as Vicki hands them to me, I can get them up. There's no lag time in that.
Nope.
And then there would be no lag time in creating that MailerLite either. I can go back this afternoon after we're done here. I can go ahead and create that checkbox on our subscription for e-newsletters and start getting people to sign up for those.
Make a clarification that the 48 hours be 48 working hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a week and a day, so, are we looking that long, or are we talking 2 business days?
Well,
2 business days.
I would encourage 2 business days.
all right.
So if I have them, if on the meetings are on Friday, if I have those minutes done and given to Coley by Tuesday, everybody's good with that? Sure. Unless something comes up, I will try to, okay, as unapproved. Okay. Motion.
Yes.
Somebody's gonna have to make one.
I'll make a motion to change it to 2 business days following the day of. So
Post
that would give you-
unapproved minutes.
Yes, that would give you Monday and Tuesday, because,
Within 48 hours or 2 business days.
yeah, 2
Okay.
business days after the day of the meeting.
Great, thank you.
Good, she can help me stop
Guys?
the fires out on Monday.
Guys, we punched this monumental task, today's meeting, down into 3 hours. And thank you so much for your time. And I would move that we adjourn the meeting.
Well, first off, we have to vote on that. It was,
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Yeah.
it was
Okay.
motion
Go ahead,
and
please.
seconded.
It was, yes, we need a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
And I have this is gonna be the first time we're doing this, and Monday is a holiday, so I get to, until Wednesday.
Enjoy the holidays.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
You're gonna be awful lonely on Monday, I feel like.
Well, it is 2 business days.
Yes,
That's
yes. Well played.
All right.
Can I go back and ask you a question? And you said you can post these I don't know what you called it again, online. You're gonna do the unfinished and the finished.
Right, unapproved minutes for the February meeting will go up on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
And then the January approved minutes that we just approved, I will send them to her as soon as I get back to my desk, and they will go up.
Yep.
Okay, and I think that's wonderful. I brought it, I'm thinking about a caution though, when you were mentioning having people give input. I just want to, I don't know, I guess if.
Right now, they cannot.
They can't.
They cannot right now.
Yeah. All right. And that might be something that, on the mail or like, whenever they receive that, if they sign up for that, then they can make comments.
They can make comments. It'll come to me, and like I said, that will come to my email address because it goes through my email address. And then if any comments come in, I will be sure to share them with everybody. I mean, we all have your email address because you guys have our CCLD.us, right?
Yes.
So all I have to do is put you in there, and then those comments will be shared with you. Because that's the way the email companies work, where you send these out like MailerLite, MailChimp, anything like that. You have to put somebody's email address on that, and then it comes straight to my personal inbox for work here. And then, like I said, I can push those out.
My CCLD email doesn't work yet, so.
It doesn't?
Yeah.
Did you get your
I'm gonna go get it tomorrow now.
Did Mark get you set up with the authenticator?
Yeah, still doesn't work.
Still doesn't work?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll work on that.
There's issues with it, I mean.
It's Outlook, nobody likes it.
But I feel like this is a hot topic, and I think that people will come in and they'll look at those, and they're gonna wanna follow what has been, which is good,
I've seen better.
but.
We also have something called Ask a Librarian, and so that's another opportunity for input as well. So, yeah, but you're exactly right. Maybe that's something we need to look at down the road, is how do we get it? As we do the promotion of trying to get the interaction going more, we need to look at those sorts of things. But right now they have a couple of avenues, and part of it might be that we're just not promoting them.
Yes, so we will, and they can make comments on our Facebook page and on our Instagram. So
all the comments are turned on all those locations. The only way that, like with our website, our main website, we use WordPress. So with WordPress, you have what is called a post page, and that allows you to create like a blog post where people can comment on it. And then we have what is called just a page, and that is just a static page. There's no commenting or anything like that. That would be like our homepage, our About Us page, and all those things. So if we do want to open it up to comments, we can post those to a blog post page, and open up the comments on that.
I'm not against it, I'm just cautious on your.
Right, that's
because.
Right, and
they won't become part of the minutes at all, but they will come.
But even like our videos on YouTube, I have not turned off the commenting on that. I think we've had one person make a comment on our videos, but normally, I mean, here lately they've come to the meeting and made their comments, but not anything.
So we did make it through that. Woo.
Yes.
Are we done?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All right.
I gotta tell you, this is awesome. We were actually, I was really trying to respect people's time, and I was so concerned with just making this a miserable event because there's so much, and to just see us all discussing relaxed and not in a hurry to leave, that's an amazing thing for me to watch. And so I just thank you again for allowing me to sit here with a stopwatch, and I'm excited about the next meeting. And I want y'all to have faith in the agenda. It's going to work. Unfinished business is just what it is, and it's going to work. And we're going to pare this thing down, but we need time to do it. So please have faith in the process. And I'd like to move to adjourn the meeting.
Seconded.
Mary moved, Becky second. All in favor to adjourn? Okay. Now, if you want to stop the recording. Adam, we're not going to turn you off yet, just in case you wanted to chat. But I do have these forms from Oak Star Bank that each of you will have to fill out. And you can return it to Oak Star Bank with a copy of your photo ID